Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, you know? Just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. I had, for years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hi, I'm Ashley Flowers, and if you're like me and grew up watching America's Most Wanted and reading Nancy Drew, then hi, you're a crime junkie. And I bet that passion for solving mysteries never went away, which is why we've assembled a team of reporters to dig deep into all the cases we still obsess over. Each Monday, my best friend Britt and I will bring you a case that you won't be able to stop thinking and talking about. So join us by listening to Crime Junkie wherever you listen to podcasts.
This week, in Terra Linda, California, an obsessive pair of lovers, including a possible witch, take some mild grievances and turn them into a reason for drugs, lies, and some twisted, horrifying murder. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another. This is just, we say it every week, and are we ever wrong? We say, oh, this is a crazy episode, and then it comes, and you're like, somehow it's crazier than the last one. I don't know.
It's Looney Tunes, folks.
It is Looney Tunes time, and today is, definitely no different. Today is very terrifying, so we'll get to all of that. First off, just want to say thank you for everything that you do for us, especially the people that buy tickets to live shows. Thank
Magnificent
you.
people.
Oh, you people are wonderful. We had a great time, by the way, in Salt Lake City and Denver. We forgot to mention that last time.
Yeah,
all of you turkeys out there are the best. Thank you very much, and gobble, gobble indeed. So, yes, it's been a good time. You definitely want to head over to shutupandgivememurder.com because August 12th is Chicago. We will be there live.
Let's go.
It's happening. So get there. There's still some tickets available. It is going to be our biggest show ever.
It is,
and we're doing a special live show just for you in Chicago. So get on out there, everybody, and come to Chicago. And also, we have Dallas, Charlotte, Atlanta, still have tickets, and a couple left in Philly. So get your tickets for the rest of the year. Everything else is sold out, so hurry up and get those. those, definitely. You also definitely want Patreon. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of your bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above.
Right.
It's a cup of coffee, people. A cup of coffee.
Cheap.
You can get
affordable.
a cup of coffee, or you can get a whole big back catalog with like 200 bonus episodes and new ones every other week. This week is no different. What we have for you is for crime and sports, which of course you'll have access to. We are going to talk about theme park disasters part 2. Last time we kind of did from like the 1920s to the 80s, and now it's the 80s on. So these roller coasters are getting high-powered. People are flying far off them. So check that out right there. Up the ante. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the Stanford prison experiment, which we have been requested a lot to do. And this is when at Stanford they did an experiment, obviously, where they took a bunch of people that were volunteers, made half of them prisoners, half of them guards, and said, let's see what happens. How quickly will people turn into lunatics? And not very long it takes, honestly. So we'll talk all about that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you'll get a shout out at the end of the show, of course, where Jimmie will mispronounce your name while just trying his hardest to get it correct.
So hard.
So hard. So that said, and also your stupid opinions still coming in a couple weeks. We are doing this. It's all set up finally, and all the business stuff is done. So we're allowed to do it and allowed to put it out, and we're very, very excited for it. We can't wait to give it to you, so check that out. Quick disclaimer, this is a comedy show.
Yeah.
We're comedians, but this is a show about terrible murder also at the same time, so there's a balance there that goes with that, and that balance is we will definitely make jokes, tons of jokes. They're jokes about everything, but what we don't do, what we go out of our way not to do, is we don't make jokes about the victim or the victim's family.
Why is that, James?
That's because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags. See how that works? Yeah, that's a nice thing. There's a way to do it tastefully and not make it weird murder porn. But at the same time, you know, there's jokes to be made. It's going to happen. So that said,
it's funny. I want to talk about it.
That's what I mean. If you think true crime and comedy should never, ever go together, maybe we're not the show for you. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we're not. Or maybe you're misunderstanding the whole thing. I'm not positive.
Maybe you don't get it.
Maybe you don't get it. Either way, check it out or don't. It's up to you, but don't complain about it later because we warned you that there are jokes. So don't say, oh my God, they were making jokes about stuff. So don't do that. We don't need that right there. You're just as responsible as we are. You're involved in this. We're all in this together, everybody. So that said, I think it's time, if you are in this with us, to sit back. Let's clear the lungs, everybody. What do you say here? Arms to the sky, and let's all shout. Shut up and give me murder. Let's do this, Jimmie. What do you say?
Okay.
Let's go on a trip, shall we? All right. We're going out west this week here. We are, again, we've been in Oregon and Washington, but then North Carolina last week. But here, we are going to be in California, up in Northern California here. Terra Linda, California, which is Terra Linda is actually a smaller town inside of another not very big city called San Rafael. So San Rafael, Terra Linda's inside of it, but it's its own kind of a thing. So that's how that works.
Linda's inside Rafael.
It is inside. She's all up in there. Terra Linda meaning
the opposite,
beautiful land is what that means.
Oh, yeah.
And this is in the North Bay region, so this is above San Francisco, about a half hour outside San Francisco. It's in Marin County out there, where if you look north from San Francisco, you see trees, and you're like, wow, that looks pretty good, you know? Doesn't look bad. About an hour 20 to San Jose, and about an hour 10 to, how the hell did we say this? Milpitas. Milpitas, that's right. Milpitas, which was episode 352, The Body on the Hill. That was a good one, too. So area code here, 415. The motto is, the city with a mission.
You bet.
Well, they all have missions in California. Every city has a mission.
Is it a mission of
like an old Spanish?
Religious?
You know, that's what that's not what they mean. But if you say what's your mission and they don't have an answer, they're like, we have missions. You know, it's not a lie. I think that's
the only. There's one over there.
Yeah, they're all over the place. You can light a candle for someone. It's totally cool. So,
and get some amazing tortillas right out front.
They're going to be there. Someone will have a cart, I guarantee you, because white people go there to light candles. So, here's the history. Terra Linda is located on what used to be the property of Manuel T. Freitas. His family was a Portuguese person who owned parts of the Rancho San Pedro and the Santa Margarita and the Las Guayanas Mexican land grant. He owned a bunch of that. Yeah, as we all do. That's where we all got our land, obviously.
Margaritas and Fritos.
Margaritas and Fritos and Mexican land grants. Buy a tortilla out in front of the mission. The ranch was originally...
It's a real sitcom fucking jingle right there.
It's like a radio commercial. Comes on at the end. That's after they tell you the prices of tortillas this week, then that comes on. 1955, about 900 homes were built by Joseph Eichler. And this is a very distinctive architectural style where if you drive around this area, you can tell which house is an Eichler.
Oh.
It's one of those.
Really?
And so there's a bunch of them. There's a lot, 900 of them. And one of our real estate report houses is an Eichler. Had to find one of those. So, yeah, it's a kind of, that gives it like that historic kind of old California look.
Are they like John F. Long's in Phoenix, those shitty ones? Or
No.
They're
They're not like those where they were like this guy.
Oh,
These have like a cool design to them. You can tell they stand out. Unlike those ones where they were like, we're selling all of Peoria now, and it was just open up, and it was just these neighborhoods where they had 3 different house models to choose from.
Yeah.
I've seen YouTube videos where they still have those from like those ads from like the 50s. To move to Phoenix and with these neighborhoods.
John F. Long homes?
I don't remember which ones because it was a few different builders, and I know one had Red Skelton in it. Was actually
Yeah,
it was
that
in
might
one
be
of the ads.
that might be
somewhere.
Sun City for Del Webb.
I think it was that was this was an ad for Glendale. This ad was for. Yeah, it was building shit. Or Maryvale. It was in Maryvale.
Oh,
so all these houses that are terrifying now that bullets are always flying around, at one point they were brand new and Red Skelton was stumbling around making jokes about how nice they were.
At one point they were brand new.
They had to be.
Golly.
So they have the Guide Dog for the Blind organization, which has been here since before there was even a town here. They've been here forever.
Really?
He's located out like on the kind of the edge of town of Terra Linda, and the dogs and the trainers are walking around Terra Linda and San Rafael all the time. So you constantly see dogs in training walking around, that's pretty cool. You can look out the window and see people walking like nice dogs out there. That's cool, I guess.
But
as long
are
as they
these
pick the
dogs
shit up.
Yeah, are these like trial dogs, or are we finding out if they're good at this, or are these just dogs that are already good at this?
I guess it's the guide dog for the blind thing. So they bring dogs in, I guess, based on their characteristics, and they train them up, I think.
They're just out there choking them a little bit all day?
A little bit, yeah, just a little choke collar. The mall at Northgate is the only enclosed mall in Marin County. Okay. Only one. They said Sears is still there somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah.
They're hanging on by a thread there. So they're the only original tenant still left in this place. And they original from when it opened in the 60s, I mean. And then since 2008, they did a huge renovation of malls, which seems like throwing good money after bad at that point. I think we've about had it with malls here.
Throwing good money out the window.
That's what I mean. So people from here and live here. Spaceman Bill Lee, who pitched for the Red Sox in the 70s, who was a very good pitcher. He's actually from here. And then James Hetfield lives here, the singer for Metallica. So
he lives in Marin County,
he
or
lives in Terra
town?
Linda, actually.
No kidding.
Yeah, he moved there in like 2010. He lived close by and then bought a big house here in 2010. So
how about that?
And apparently, and this is, I don't know, this is how the legend goes. You never know. It might be apocryphal. We have no idea. But our fun fact here, the term 420 is in everybody's weed stuff. I guess they say it originated in San Rafael when a group of students of San Rafael High School in 1975 used 420 as their code for smoking weed because they would meet at 420 because that just happened to be the time they always met up. So they were like, 420, we'll meet there. So that became the code, 420, because that was when they met. That's the legend. Who the fuck knows? We have no idea if that's true. I was
under the impression that was the police code for it.
I have no idea. I mean, who knows?
You know what I mean? Like 187 or 211. I was under the impression that 420 was...
I never matched it with a police code for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, I mean,
it would make sense. It would make sense. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I could be very wrong. I thought that the clap was called that because people would clap in the military when they found out that you had it, because that meant that you were sleeping with the enemy. What it is, James, is disgusting. And I don't even want to tell
you. What it
is
but the old drippy dick.
Yes. What they would do is clap a book around your junk to drain it.
That's disgusting.
When
I was 21,
I want to go back to the time that I thought it was when they would apply.
Yay. When I was 21, I lived in an apartment complex, and the guy I knew in the complex came over and asked me for a ride to the store because he had the clap and he needed to get some stuff. And I'm like,
oh my God.
That's he goes, dude, my dick won't stop dripping. I was like, I barely know you. You're a neighbor.
I got the clap. Can you take me to Barnes and Noble?
Kramer never said any of this stuff. You know what I mean? He never came in and was like, hey, Jerry, I got the clap.
Jerry,
I need
take
a
me
ride.
to the bookstore.
This is wild. Yeah. I had to take him to
get
the grocery store.
treatment.
I don't even know what he wanted. So anyway,
God.
reviews of this place. Let's find out what people think. Here's 4 stars. The people in this area are very kind and friendly. Everywhere you turn, there's a smiling face and someone to greet you. That sounds like the Full House song, I believe. That's the Full House. Everywhere you look. That's going to be the next lyric that comes out here. Although the land area is spread out, everyone seems to know one another, which makes it seem like a small town community. People are generally helpful. There's a good mix of young families and elderly couples, which adds to the value of the community. The value. Okay. Here's another 4 stars. It is mostly pet friendly, as you will see lots of dogs on the roads throughout the hills. Yeah, those are for the blind. That's good. Here's 4 stars. The owners are very nice. Owners of who? The land, the dog, the houses? What are we talking about? Here's 3 stars. Some places are very bad.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole review.
Oh, that's
Some
it.
places are very bad. Okay.
Get out there and find them.
I hope that person doesn't speak much English. That's all I can hope for. Either that or they can't really complete a thought. Here's 2 stars here. Okay, this person has a lot to say. Quote, I hate to say it, but this area and much of San Rafael has deteriorated over the years on many levels. Terra Linda was a great community in the 90s and early mid-2000s when I grew up there. Nostalgia.
Yeah. When I was there, it was awesome because
better.
I was there.
Yeah. But starting with the demise of the Northgate Mall, the place has become a dump. Oh, boy. The number one issue for me now, climate change has affected Terra Linda greatly. Constant, strong, gusty winds make it very unenjoyable to be outside. You can't even use your yard if you have one most afternoons and evenings because it's so bad. Very dry, windy, bad for allergies and people who like to be outside a lot. Even inside, sometimes it could feel like you're in the middle of a hurricane. You could close your windows. What? It shouldn't be windy in the house at all. See? You can fix that.
You got a pretty nice AC unit, sir. I'm impressed.
Blew my hat off. The thing is pumping.
Turn your fans off, buddy.
So unpleasant living in a wind tunnel. Close your fucking windows, you idiot. Especially if you're in the hills, which is where most of Terra Linda is. I do not remember it being this windy over. Enough about the fucking wind.
Good Lord.
What can people? We can't change the wind right now.
Yeah. And also, I need to see when this was written. If it was written in April, he can go fuck himself.
Right. The summer heat/sun can be brutal as well. Now we're in a drought. Otherwise, not good dining options. More and more homeless/transients or mentally ill roaming around. But wind for the most part.
Don't forget about that.
Don't forget the wind. People in this town, 61, this is San Rafael, is 61,158. In Terra Linda, it is 7,091.
Wow.
When our case takes place, there's way less in both places. So we'll talk
James
about that.
Hetfield lives in a place of 7,000.
Yeah,
huh?
it's in Marin counties. There are places that are very pretty in there. So I'm sure he lives
smart.
among big trees. And I bet he does that sort of shit. So I bet he has property. I would assume anyway.
Yeah.
It's a few more males than females, which is the opposite of normal. The median age is 41. It's a little higher, but not that out of whack here. It's kind of a family place. You can commute to San Francisco. 50% are married. A lot of people with kids here.
Yeah.
You can have a yard and no one will poop in it. So they live there.
Yeah.
So race of this town, 56.3% white. 2.3% black, 6.2% Asian, 29.7% Hispanic. So it's a spread around a little bit here.
Mix, yeah.
Religion, 44% religious, and there's mostly Catholic here, I think, from the large Hispanic population. 31.6% Catholic. As we know, Catholics are the Baptists of the West Coast or something. Northern California. 1.8% Jewish.
What?
Oh, my God. We can sing it finally. It's been so long. Hava, Nagila, Nagila, Hava, Nagila. I don't know the words. Hey. All right. Look at us. We did it, finally. Politically
Very
in this
impressive.
Very impressive. Politically in this town, 82.3% this is last election, 82.3% Democrat, 15.8% Republican, 1.9% Independent in Marin County. The median household income here is $75,668, which is well above the national average, which is like $54,000. But
it's because James Hetfield's here.
That's what cost of
big,
living, though. That's the median income. Here's the cost. Yeah, he could be driving it up by
just
shitload.
by being there.
Everyone makes $20,000, and then James Hetfield makes $40 million, and that's how it works. So the cost of living, 100 is average. Here it's 217. Everything's expensive, but most of all, housing is expensive. Median home cost here, $1,209,300 on $76,000. Good luck. Enjoy.
This is the best place on the planet.
That's crazy. That's expensive. This is a very pretty place, too. I mean, you're going to look at this and you go, well, yeah, I mean, if it wasn't that expensive, it would be overrun. Yeah. That's the problem, because it's that pretty, but it's still, it's that's expensive. That's a little too expensive. And if we've convinced you, damn it, you've been saving, you just got a large inheritance, you just killed your spouse and got an insurance settlement, we have for you the Terra Linda, California real estate report. The average two-bedroom rental here, hold on to your socks because they will be blown through your shoes. $3,300 a month.
Oh,
a little pricey. It's normally about $12,000, so that's a lot. Here's a two-bedroom, two-bath. It's a condo. If you're looking under $1 million, it's a condo. You're going to be connected. You're going to hear people fucking through the walls.
God, the worst.
If you want to spend, a good amount of money, it's fine.
It's your mortgage. You own this place, and you still hear people fucking.
It's fine. It's got a little backyard space, but nothing major. $750,000 for that. Wow. Here is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. It's a big house. We don't have the square footage on it for some reason, but it's a big house. It was built in the 60s, but it's been redone on the inside in complete HGTV gray and white. Slate and white, This will look... In 5 years, you'll hate this style.
Yeah, in 5 years, you're going to be selling this, and people are going to go, ugh.
That's from 5 years ago. Yeah. Because now you have to redo your kitchen every 5 years for some reason. $1,550,000 for this, though.
My God.
And here is the last one. 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Built in 1960. This is an Eichler home, an original one of those Eichlers there. So it looks like it's a weird-looking house. There's so many windows. It's definitely a certain stylized California type of house that you would imagine in your head.
Long ranch style?
Yeah, it's like a ranch style, but it's got different weird level-looking things. It's pretty cool. $2,495,000 for that, and it's not even half an acre. It's not a big property or anything like that.
How many square feet?
I don't know, but it's 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It doesn't look very big. Maybe 2,000, 2,300 or something at tops.
Just to get yourself an Eichler.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Things to do here: the May Madness Car Show.
Yeah.
All right. And it says awesome cars! ! We hope so. It's a whole fucking show for it. Started in 86 with a bunch of guys with their fucking cars gathering in a parking lot, and then they decided to make it a bigger deal. Now they have food trucks and food and, bands that are so well known that you won't even name them. So that's good.
Metallica.
That's always real. Yeah, James Hetfield's right there. Just get him to come and just go, hey, into a microphone, and you win.
Well, they can't do that because they have all of his cars in the show.
You could draw him there with cars. That's the other thing. He has all those weird cars. Draw him in. And then there's the Marin County Fair, and it said it will return for the first time since 2019. The theme for this year, electrifying.
Oh, we got a theme.
It's a theme, yeah. It's going to celebrate all things electric, solar, and charged with excitement.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus. This is a fair? What are we fucking talking about here? The 2023 fair will include such favorites as the Fine Arts and Photography exhibit, as all county fairs have.
Is that a favorite?
No, I don't think so. Usually, Best Pig is a favorite in a county fair, or Best Fried Hostess product or something, not art. Headline concert, sheepdog trials, a petting zoo, fireworks every night, plus popular competitive exhibits program will take place in person and celebrate our talented and creative blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? Okay. It's electrifying, though. That's what they're going to say. They're going to have, again, music that they won't tell you about.
Right.
Again. And so that's never good, we'll say.
No.
That's always a bad sign. Crime rate in this town. Well, we're talking about, obviously, here. Property crime, slightly high, but not too high. Just kind of in the range of pretty normal still. And then violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is about a quarter under the national average.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, this is a pretty safe place. I mean, it's definitely suburbia type of place here. So that said, let's talk about some absolutely awful murder, because we're got to get to this quickly because there's so much of it, and just it's a load here. So, man, you want to talk about some crazy? Let's do it. All right, let's talk about Charles David Riley, which immediately made me think of Charles Nelson Riley, and he's coming in throwing confetti everywhere.
Well, he just smokes like a bastard.
Yeah, and smoking. Those two people combined. This guy goes by Chuck, though.
Okay.
Chuck Riley. Hey, Chuck. Yeah. So, Chuck.
Not bad.
Yeah, Chuck is raised in a stable, but not a lower middle class, you know what I mean? Blue-collar parents, doesn't have a lot of money, but, they're nice people. They're
doing fine.
None of his parents, they don't beat each other, and they didn't get divorced when he was 2. It's a stable environment here. No early emotional problems, behavioral problems, anything like that. Grows up kind of a nice kid. No juvenile delinquency. He's a fat kid, just to be honest. It's what he calls himself later on a lot. I was a fat kid. I'm a fat kid. So he was a chubby kid growing up, but a nice kid. Nobody, disliked him or anything like that. Kind of growing up in the late 60s in the Bay Area here, he was actually kind of ostracized by all the other kids for not wanting to do any kind of drugs or party or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you were like, you won't even smoke a joint. What are you, a fucking square? You know what I mean?
I'll get the munchies and I'll get fatter.
Well, they didn't have that problem. They were like, they didn't get it, but that was in his head. He's like, oh, and I know what that leads to. And that is French fries. I am not doing that. So he honestly, all through high school, that was his thing. Like, he's lame. He's lame. Well, not really, because we'll talk about, he sells drugs, but he just doesn't do drugs. He's a weird guy. One evening, he kicked people out of his car for smoking weed. Okay, get out of my car. So the rest of the night, somehow, every time they saw him, they would throw rocks at him and call him names. Which, even if you like weed, maybe, you can't smoke in my car. Like, I love weed. If you lit a joint in my car, I'd fucking kick you out in a heartbeat. Get out of, what are you doing? Like, weed in my car?
Why would you smoke anything in my vehicle?
My car smells nice still. Get out of here. Yeah, once we get out, ask me, I'll pull over and we'll smoke all you want. But not in the fucking car. So, but when I was a teenager, we used the car as a mobile smoking unit. That's all it was. Hot box it and shit everywhere.
It was because it was essentially what I wanted to do in my house, but I was not allowed because my parents lived there. Right.
Yeah. What did you do in Phoenix, though? You couldn't hotbox in Phoenix, could you?
Oh, yeah.
But what if it's hot?
I mean, we had air conditioning. I guess you just
then it's ruining it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'd have if you turn the circulator on, it just puts the weed back in the car.
I guess, but it's filtering. So I don't know. Yeah. The snow was the best. If you pull in when it snowed, and you just let the snow cover the car, and no one could see you in there, and you just hotbox. It was just great. And then you just hit the windshield wipers and see what was around you. There could be 30 people standing around staring at you. We wouldn't care.
Yeah. Even when you had the windows rolled up and you're just smoking, you can still smell that everywhere.
Oh, God, yeah. All over the place. Unless your car's covered in snow. It literally seals it up. Then you can't
had a literal frozen water blanket.
Oh, it was great. That was the most fun ever. No one could see you. You could do that in public places. You pull into a grocery store parking lot and just park and let the snow cover your car for 15 minutes, and you could just blaze right there and leave.
Hilarious.
It was fun. So he wasn't into that, though. Not into hotboxing, this guy.
Yeah.
So apparently that night he got home later on, or separate incident. One night he got home and his father beat him up for something he didn't do. Okay. So he was mad at his father. This is right before his senior year. He's pissed off at his father. So he drops out of high school to spite his father. Because his father beat him up. He only needed like a semester to graduate. And he was like, nope, done.
What year is this?
This is 1973. Wow. This is going on.
Wow.
Yeah, different time period. And by the way, next week will be a very modern episode here. But we only go back to like the 70s if it's like, holy shit, we got to talk about this. Like, wow, this is crazy. It has to be insane for us to go back this far in time. So he drops out, like we said. He during this time has a few different jobs. He delivers newspapers, which is, it's a tough job for an adult.
It's not going to make you any money.
Delivers pizza. I did that as a teenager. Bartends. Okay. And he also works in a circuit board factory for a bit. Never lasts very long at any of these jobs. No? None of these are a career. He ends up working at a waterbed store in the mall in a little while. So that's what he's doing. Yeah. Whatever. He just sees in the paper what's hiring, and he goes and applies there. He's in that phase of life.
Around it, and I'll go talk to them about it later.
How many times have you done that? Put in a bunch of applications in one day for jobs that had nothing to do with each other, that were completely different. Do I want to? One's a carpet cleaner. One's like like a photographer at Sears. One's like you'll apply for anything. You don't care.
Also, none of them have anything to do with me or what I want to do. I'll just
they're hiring.
Do it for money.
Yep. Yeah. If they'll give me money to go there, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah,
so
I'll do it.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing.
No.
They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro-laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
He thinks of himself as the fat kid who girls don't like. That's how he always thinks of himself. Yeah. And he never dates any girls throughout all of high school. And he'd like to date girls, but they don't like him. Okay. Not only is he, quote, the fat kid, but he's also the square kid. You know what I mean? So the clean-cut girls want guys who, like, have money and, they want, like, country club guys. And he is neither fish nor fowl.
Or the bad boy that you know what I mean?
He
doesn't do that either.
Exactly. So he can't find anybody that really likes him and that he can connect with. And then a girl falls into his lap. And I mean literally falls into his lap. Here.
Tripped?
When he's 19, a young lady named Marlene Olive comes into his life, okay? Now, Marlene, he meets her in October of 1974. He weighed 265 pounds, he said, and he had been selling drugs at that point, the way he put it, to gain popularity. He didn't care about even the money. He didn't even care if he broke even. That was a way to meet people and make friends. Which, if you sell drugs, you'll make friends. That's the thing.
Oh, you betcha.
I mean, people...
Ish. I mean...
Yeah, they don't want to hang out with you, but if you can make them hang out for a half hour if you really want to.
Yeah, they'll be around for a minute.
This day, in October 74, he's out on the front lawn of Terra Linda High School, hanging out for some reason, even though he hasn't been there in 2 years, as far as a student.
Right.
So then here comes Marlene Olive, who's 16 years old, and she is having a bad trip. LSD. She took acid and she's having a bad trip.
It's not good.
Not good. So she kind of literally almost fell on him.
Okay.
And so he talked to her, and they said he knelt beside her, and he, quote, reassured her that everything would be okay and that he would stay with her, and it's okay, you're going to be all right, relax. He didn't have, any experience really with people with bad trips, and he really had no experience with girls. So he was like, whoa, this is like,
this is wild.
A meteor fell out of the sky, and I got to figure out what to do with it. What do I do here? So he immediately fell in love with her, though. That's one thing. It's a girl, and she's talking to him.
Wow.
So, and she's pretty, too. So he's like, oh, sweet, this is great. He thought she was the most beautiful girl in the world, he told everybody. Just
in the wide world?
In the whole wide world out there. Times Google infinity. Just everything. Yeah. So, as a child would say. So he said he stopped by the school, quote, to see what was going on. He's like Wooderson from Dazed and Confused now. He's McConaughey's character coming in. Just, hey, the girls stay the same age.
Gross.
19, hanging out at the school. But he said while she was high and tripping, the other kids were harassing her, he said. That's why he was trying to protect
fun
her.
Of her.
Well, they were saying things like, you're an orange and you're going to peel. They're trying to encourage her bad trip, which is really shitty to do to somebody.
You're running through the forest. You're running through the forest.
I've been on acid. Your mind is in a really malleable state at that point. And you trust straight people, too.
Right.
People who are not high, not like you're leery of gays at that point. I'm saying you trust people who are sober at that point.
Right.
You look to them like a rock, like a pillar that you can hang on to. When they tell you crazy shit, you freak out. So he said she seemed innocent at first, and he felt sorry for her. And he developed a deep crush on her, as he put it, from the minute I saw her.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So he said from that point on, they started hanging out. He said from then on, he was constantly stoned. Totally. I mean, all through high school, people threw rocks at him. They called him a pussy. They didn't like him. All this shit. It took one girl looking in his eyes and him going, I'll smoke anything you put in my mouth. If I can put stuff in your mouth, you can put stuff in mine. Okay? I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Yeah. That's how this is going to work.
Drugs, I don't care what you'd put in there, but I'll do it.
That's wild. So he said they used weed. They smoked weed. They used acid. And this was like real acid back in the day, too. Uppers and downers, too. Pills, coke. They were doing coke in the early 70s.
He went
kids.
hard.
Absolutely. Totally. He said that she got him barbiturates, and that really sprung him into liking drugs, I guess, because he liked that. Now, we'll talk a little bit about her family and where she's from, because she is not your typical person from around here either, because she's not from around here because she's born in Ecuador. We'll talk about this, how she came about here. Her parents are James F. Olive and Naomi Olive, and the Olive family, we'll talk very quickly here about their background. What would be her grandfather, or her great-grandfather, her dad's grandfather, settled in New York State from Scotland, and he was a laborer on farms and shit like that, and then he ended up owning part of a prosperous dairy farm. And so then James, who is Jim Olive, her father, moved to Panama in 1925 to become business manager of a newspaper down there, an English-language newspaper, when her dad was a little kid, Jim. And then while he was still a kid, he loves get-rich-quick schemes, by the way, Jim Olive. He loves it. So he would fuck all sorts of stuff up. This is his first major fuck-up. He goes to Penn State, all right? College here. Goes to Penn State, and it stops quickly because he tries to be a scientist is what he wants to do, but he causes a huge explosion in the chemistry lab.
Oh, no.
And then he switched to business administration right after that. They were like, you're switching majors now. We can't afford for you to keep doing this.
You're going to do paperwork from now on.
Wow. So he graduated from doing that. He worked with a New York literary agency for a while, so finding writers and stuff. That's pretty cool. And then he went back to Panama and had a harebrained scheme to develop beachfront building plots, which sounds like a good idea, except that there were nobody near any of these places. This was like all the way out in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't like near a population center. So he built all this shit and nobody bought, not one person bought any. They just sat there.
Oh, my.
Who knows? So then he worked, then the World War came along, the Second World War, obviously, and he worked as a mail censor in the military, and he made it to the rank of major, actually. So
wow.
Got a little rank. Now he's major. He's going to be Major Dad in a minute. So
you betcha.
We'll get there. On leave during 1944 in the summer, he met Naomi and married her. And she's like 10 years younger than him, or 7 years younger than him or something.
Good
so I think 7 years is what it is, because he's born 1917, she's born 22, so 5 years is the difference here. So, he does all of that, meets Naomi, and her father was also a farm laborer, so they have that in common. And her mother didn't have much of a career because she was committed to a mental hospital for the rest of her life when Naomi was 2.
Oh.
Yeah, and Naomi's got some...
you got to feel like that's your fault, right?
I don't know about that, but there is some serious mental illness on Naomi's side of the family, at least from her mother, and then we'll hear from Naomi, too. She's not right in the head either. So there's some stuff going on here.
That was a big portion of my problems via my therapist. My family was my parents were married and had my sister, and then I was born, and my dad skedaddled within a week, and that's that'll make you feel like that's your fault.
I
if
guess
your mom's gone before you're viable, you know what I mean?
My parents split up when I was like
parents.
1.
Yeah.
My parents split up when I was like 1.
It certainly will fuck you up.
I just assumed it was my fault. You know?
Yeah. It's just what naturally. This is what you do.
Why wouldn't it be?
Well,
you know what I mean?
They had other shit happening here, and then me, and then it's all broken.
I never thought it was my fault till I had kids, and then I went, "Wow, this is hard. I must have done this to them."
I'd
like
to leave.
No, I must have done this to them. I'd see.
Right.
Okay, so that's how it goes. Naomi goes back and forth between her grandparents, and then her mother dies while she's a kid as well, and then she is adopted out. Her dad doesn't keep her. Her grandparents don't keep her. Another family adopts her.
Wow.
Lucky for her, it's a wealthy family that adopts her, the Decay family. So she said that everybody remembers her as a kid, that she was beautiful and very depressive and had a horrible temper and seemed a little off, basically.
Real emo, huh?
Yeah, and off, also a little unstable. You want to put it that way. So they wanted her, though, to marry somebody who was, of their means here. So this is the same time when before the Olives came back to Panama and they ended up meeting and all that kind of shit. So he's discharged from the military, Jim. He's married to Naomi. He tries to sell more property. Naomi doesn't like it down there.
No.
She doesn't like it in South America. She doesn't like the heat. She doesn't like insects. She doesn't like any of this shit. She doesn't speak Spanish. She doesn't give a fuck about any of this stuff.
There's a beach.
Doesn't care. Not interested.
Okay.
It's hot. There's bugs, and everyone's speaking Spanish. Don't give a shit. She doesn't give a fuck.
Goddamn jungle. I want out.
I want out. So Jim would then get a job in the oil industry, and he is Central American Advertising Manager for Standard Oil, which was a giant company, obviously.
Yeah.
So when his mother died, it left him a substantial inheritance here, too. So now everything's coming together for Naomi and Jim here. They're doing okay. They have kind of a nest egg now. So Naomi said, let's move back to the U.S. So they bought a block of apartments in Florida.
Oh.
And Jim tried to make money off of that. And then he had a whole bunch of other schemes with all this money. He was starting all these businesses, and all of them failed. And basically drained his inheritance to almost nothing.
Oh, no.
He just blew it all trying to do things that were ill-advised. He would have been better off just putting it in a savings account and having it and making a tiny bit of interest, or mutual fund or something, a bond.
Instead he's doing these high-risk, low-reward situations.
I want to be an overnight millionaire guy, and he doesn't want to just have the money that he inherited. He wants to make his own money out of that, which some people aren't talented to do that. That's the problem.
True, yeah.
You can want it all you want. You could be a nice person, but that doesn't mean you're talented at business. It's just not.
You got to know how to do it, and you got to know what you're doing.
You could love baseball. Doesn't mean you're talented at baseball either. Right. You know what I mean? It's some people have different talents for different things. So by 1955, Jim's in Virginia with Phillips Petroleum, but at the time there, he was doing terrible. They were almost bankrupt. So he was doing all of that. And they decided then, since we're almost bankrupt, we're really at the edge here, things aren't going the way we planned, we should adopt a kid now.
Oh, God.
Let's adopt a child. So the family friend recalled, quote, "It wasn't really Jim's idea. Naomi wanted a child desperately. She needed something of her own."
Mm-hmm.
So they find Marlene, who was 3 days old at the time when they adopt her. She's the daughter of a young woman from a very prominent family from Virginia and a sailor from like Norway or some shit.
Okay.
So that's who she is. She's going to grow up in Ecuador, though. So she's from here, but then they're going to move to Ecuador. That's where she grows up. So said Naomi immediately was very possessive of the kid, like all over her.
Okay.
I finally got a kid. No one else is touching it type of deal. So one said, quote, "She was very clinical in her approach to motherhood. I don't remember her being overly loving in a spontaneous way. Naomi would never would never go out, not even to the movies or a dinner party. Naomi, I'd tell her, you'll smother the child to death." And she kind of does, kind of smother her to death a little bit. That's the problem. And she doesn't like it, Marlene. It's not like they're super close and they have an unbreakable bond. Marlene's like, "Get the fuck away from me. I don't even driving me nuts." So at the age of 10, she's rummaging through her father's stuff in a filing cabinet, and she finds that she's been adopted. They never told her.
Really?
She found her adoption papers and was like, "Oh, what the fuck is this about? I'm adopted?"
We were going to tell you later.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild. One teacher in the 6th grade, when she's in Ecuador, said, quote, "One day we were discussing motherhood, what it's like to be a mother and how your life changes. Marlene raised her hand and said out of the blue, quote, 'I hate my mother.'" She's just interrupts a teacher's soliloquy to say, "I hate my mother." Just wanted to let everybody know that. 10. That's pretty fucking funny. "I hate my mother." The teacher goes on to say, "Just matter of fact." Well, the other kids were shocked into silence, and I guess Marlene felt she had to do more explaining. So after a while, she added, "She's not my real mother. I'm adopted. That's why she doesn't love me."
Oh, my God.
That's if she really feels that way. That's awful, you know? So then she said that later on, Marlene learned that the way to piss her mother off was to ask about her natural parents. That was the way to piss her mom. Naomi would freak out. Yeah. So that's the button to push. And it would provoke a huge rant, and she would call her natural mother a, quote, gutter tramp, which wasn't true. She was just young, and she was a rich young girl where they're like, "You're not keeping that fucking scandal baby in our house.
Keeping that
no.
shame, right.
Yeah, you get that.
Shame burden.
Nope. We told everyone you were away at school for the summer. You know, you're doing a year abroad now.
Right.
Come on back here. And by the way, do some sit-ups. We don't want anybody to see the remnants. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Long shirts.
Long shirts. Think baggy. So James, the father, Jim, he's just working all the time, apparently. So he doesn't have a lot of time for Marlene. She really likes him, though, and he's nice to her, but he has no time for her. They would go sometimes. Naomi wouldn't go places. She stopped like going out in Ecuador completely. She would just like sit in her room and drink. She would sit in her room and drink. She had fish tanks, booze, and she was fish tanks. She would like talk to shit. We'll talk about her. She kind of loses her mental stability here. And on top of that, it did. I don't know if it was the bugs or what, but she lost her goddamn mind. It's too close to the equator. There's a magnetic field. I can't. Something. Maybe we should study that. So he would take. Jim would take Marlene to parties with him for like work parties and stuff. He'd take the kid with him instead, and he'd say, "Here's my other girlfriend," which is creepy.
Ew.
It's a little weird. I don't like that at all. So he would join. A lot of times he would be, because the parents obviously slept in separate beds. This relationship isn't going well. So she would, when she would wake up in the middle of the night, she'd go sleep with her dad rather than her mom. She felt safer with him and shit like that. She wrote a poem to him when they were in Ecuador.
Oh boy! And
it's called "Daddy's Sweetheart." And I
got the gist. I don't want to hear it.
Well, it's 2 lines here that we have to find here. Allison was very excited about finding this particular poem buried deep in a newspaper. Quote, "Long brown hair could entice any man, and her green eyes could light the night. Daddy couldn't have chosen any better." I don't know. Those are lines from the poem. So like,
I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah, I don't know. And apparently there's no molestation going on here.
Yeah, no
It's
undertones,
just
not even any behavior.
she's just like, she's very possessive of her father, and her mother's very possessive of her. So
Okay,
that's
and her
kind of how it
father
goes.
Is writing gross shit.
And no, she wrote that, not him.
She wrote that
Yeah.
about her father.
She wrote that as a child. He didn't write that.
Oh,
She wrote that
God.
about herself. I'm daddy's sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh boy.
So right around then, Jim's business deals went completely to shit, and they go bankrupt, which isn't good at all. Loses all his life savings. His inheritance is totally gone. He's really fucked it all up. He's blown it. So Naomi is so overwhelmed by losing all this money, because she came from money too. So this
Right.
isn't like, well, we started with nothing. We'll get it back.
New life. Yeah.
This is, what are you talking about? You don't have money. I'm with you because you have money. So she developed a nervous tick in her eyebrows. Like she was noticeably twitchy and shit. That's how it was, like a poor twitch.
Yeah.
Whoa. And not only that, she had a tendency to have huge public meltdowns and would just talk to herself. And when she talked to other people, she just wouldn't stop talking. It was like some crazy manic shit going on too at the same time. Yeah, really lost it. This was only after they lost the money. Then it was like she went nuts. She was also an alcoholic. And then later on, she's also diagnosed with, quote, schizoid personality with paranoid features.
Okay.
Which sounds like a lot of fun to mix with alcohol and have in your house. That sounds great.
I think that's what Jim Carrey had in Me, Myself, and Irene.
Well, she would, quote, conduct animated conversations in different voices with several invisible people at a time.
Oh my God, she's got a Hank.
She's fucking Sybil. Like, this is
Yeah.
wild.
She's drowning kids in public fountains and
This is Mom.
Oh my God, wow.
This is Mom, man.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's terrifying if you're a kid.
No wonder she hates her mom.
Yeah, and she's also very overbearing, and Naomi thinks she's being loving, and she does it in a way that no one else sees as loving. Everyone else sees it as suffocating.
Wow.
It's not great. So finally, Jim gets a good job with the Tennessee Gas Transmission Company as their Ecuadorian sales manager.
All right.
Sales manager in Ecuador. He's not Ecuadorian. So they move back down there, but now they have money, and also he's making a very good American salary and living in Ecuador where it's a tenth of the cost of living. So
awesome.
So they are living like sultans down here.
Terrific. Yeah.
He's good socially. He goes out and does work stuff and social things. Naomi will not leave the house. Stays home. They have maids, multiple maids.
Really?
Like a bunch of them. They can afford to have a bunch of help. And they all do the shopping, and Jim does the business functions and all that kind of thing. As she goes on, and this is fucking crazy, Naomi gets a little wackier and wackier. She starts to blame and get angry and start yelling at merchants and the maids who would go to buy things, because she said she's getting ripped off by the store people all the time. Now they're ripping her off. And she thinks that all the country club wives, because there's an American country club down there with all the employees,
right?
they all want to fuck her husband.
Oh,
in her mind. They're all going to fuck her husband, and also her maids want to steal her silver. So she keeps firing maids and hiring them because they stole silver, because they're planning on stealing the silver. Yeah, they're conspiring against her silver collection. So the only thing that she has any kind of control over in this whole world is what?
That little girl.
That little girl, Marlene. Yeah. That's right. Mm-hmm. So that's when it gets worse and worse and worse. Jim gets fired again. He's not good at much. He gets fired.
No.
Businesses collapse. Things explode.
He's good at finding the fucking top side of things, though. How do you keep getting good salaried things?
He's got to be a hell of an interview. We'll put it that way. He's got to be the way he does these business ideas. I assume other people are probably going in partners with him. He's got to have a hell of a pitch.
Great.
Yeah, just a real good social. He has to be confident. I don't know. So he gets fired, but he gets a better job.
Oh boy.
Better job. Gulf Oil hires him as their general manager in Ecuador. So
he's worked for Standard, Phillips, and now Gulf. It's like the three biggest.
He gets fired and gets a better job every time. Yeah. It's wild. So they're sleeping in separate bedrooms, Jim and Naomi, obviously, not at all. Jim he talked his way into the general manager job, by the way. He wasn't qualified for it, but they said, damn it, this guy's got it. He's just something about him. He's got he can make it work. But then after a while, they realized this guy's not as good as we thought he was. So he gets demoted because they noticed that he wasn't any good, which is surprising. They demoted him. Usually there's that, what's it called, that one principle where you get demoted to a point of incompetence and then you stay there for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You get demoted. You always get demoted slightly above what you're good at, or at least different than, that person's really great at that. We should make them do that instead. Like, oh, okay.
It's really blackballed in the company, but you at least get to keep a job.
Yeah, he's demoted to head of sales, which is still a job neither of us could ever hope for in our lifetime.
I'm not getting head of anything.
I'm not even getting an interview for that ever.
No.
So, yeah, not bad, I guess, but not the general manager, which was a much better job here. And he, I guess there's a whole bunch of things that go wrong in the company, in the sales department while he's doing it. He's like a walking disaster, it seems like.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
A nice guy who just walks and pianos fall on his head.
But he talks a big game, though, and then he fucking just ruins everything.
He's good socially and just doesn't work out otherwise. Naomi drinking more and more and more.
Oh, boy.
He's fired by Gulf after a few months. He's fired, by the way, a few months before he's eligible for retirement benefits as well, because he was going to be getting older. So, yeah, that's not wonderful. Now, at home, though, Marlene loves her father, and her father loves her. Jim and Marlene get along great, but it still doesn't matter because she's fighting. He's not home a lot, and she's always fighting with her mother. One point, one argument they said ended with, quote, Marlene biting her own forearm, or she would bang her head against the wall in frustration. That's the kind of thing that
That's such child behavior. That's not adults. Yeah.
That's Marlene as a child.
That's not even mom.
No, that's Marlene would get so frustrated with her mother. That's what she would do because, well, her mother's probably also not reasonable. She's drunk all the time and has severe mental issues that she's not treating and instead drinking, which was only going to make them worse. So
sit there gnawing on your tibia.
Yeah,
fibula,
you're just going to.
Whatever it is.
I think that's in your leg. I'm not sure.
Fibula?
Yeah, I think they're both in your leg, as a matter of fact.
Radius, ulna.
There you go. That's your
Nailed it.
wrist. So, Marin County here, they end up in Marin County because an advertisement in the Wall Street Journal is what he followed. It said, quote, become the businessman's businessman. What does this sound like immediately in one sentence?
Infomercial scam.
Sounds like you're going to sell, acai berry fucking shakes to people. Is what it sounds like. Whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what it is.
It sounds like you're going to sit there and stare at somebody and they're going to charge you for the words that they say and then they send you out into the world.
I feel like the word downline is going to come up at some point. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see. I see Facebook posts with, champagne glasses and shit like that. So
fucking buy this toothpaste. Then you have 7 people selling toothpaste and then everybody
on the same block. So General Business Services is the company here. And it said, America's leading business management and tax service offers franchises to qualified counselors. They're just selling off franchises.
Franchises of what? Tax services?
Tax services and business management. To be like a business advisor / tax guy, financial guy. So
There's
Jim
no
buys,
product.
he buys the no, you're buying the name of, you can put this logo up on your thing and here's your literature to hand out to people and all that shit.
You're selling H&R Block.
Yeah, and you're selling yourself at that point. I guess you're more of a financial advisor, I think. So a lot of times the accounting and tax services goes along with that kind of shit.
But there's no fucking inventory.
No, you're the inventory.
Yeah.
You're buying the name and here's how you run this business. There you go.
Genius.
At least if you buy, you buy a McDonald's franchise, they send you the burgers and you can make them. Here's our shake machine that breaks after 5 minutes, but when it's working, it's going to be phenomenal. You don't have to go build your own. You know what I mean?
There's a machine that holds fake eggs together.
Yeah, that's part of the gig. So he selects the Marin County franchise because there was different areas you could buy, and he wants that to be his sales base. So they move back, and that's when they settle in here. And Jim's a hard worker. Everybody says that. He might be untalented, I guess would be the best way to put it. But he wakes up at 6 a.m. and he works his ass off 14 hours a day, which makes it sadder, honestly. At least if he was lazy, there'd be an excuse. You know,
he's driven to fuck up.
Yeah, like my main problem is I don't feel like doing shit. Like, so is yours. You know what I mean? If we actually apply ourselves, stuff gets done. We make shows. You know what I mean? We get on the road. We do all our stuff. All the editing gets done, everything. But this guy, he's like, up and at him, everybody. Let's do it. More. We're gonna have 14 hours of fucking up today, everybody. Let's go. And then he leaves the house.
14 hours of redos all day. Yeah. Let's do it.
Comes home with things worse than they were before. Would have been better off if he just stayed home all day.
Yeah.
Not good. So once they get here, Marlene has lived nowhere except Ecuador her whole life.
And now she's in Marin County.
Yeah, now she's a young teenager in Marin County, and she's been nowhere but Ecuador. So this is like culture shock for her, too. Yeah. Marin County isn't, you know, back then it wasn't like now we gave you the racial breakdown. It's a little diverse. There's different, you know, people. I don't think a lot of people spoke Spanish in Marin County in 1973, 1974.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I can't imagine that's true. Yeah.
So she speaks English too, but, you know, she's Ecuadorian basically, even though she's not, you know, by birth. But so she, and also Naomi even has a hard time adjusting to Marin County as well. Mm-hmm. And the reason for her, though, isn't because of the place or the culture or anything like that, like her daughter. And also the schools down there, they say, are much more laid back. And then California is a much more fast pace with the schooling. Yeah. You know, American schools are, you know, the bell rings, you go to the next class, you got 3 minutes. It's tight. You
do what you do. Yep.
You do what you do. It's like you're a little factory. You're a little factory worker, and you go to the next stage all the time. And now you go to that assembly line. So I mean, that's kind of how it's laid out.
It's certainly an assembly line of education.
It is. Well, how else would you do it though with that many kids?
Right. You
can't sit them all in a circle. Like it's too many. We got to get
at some point. You got to go somewhere else to learn your history because this teacher does nothing but math.
This many in this room learning this from this time to this time, and when the bell rings, you get your fucking asses over there. Otherwise, it would be chaos. Yeah. So they do all of this, but her main problem, Naomi, is that they're much poorer now than they were in Ecuador. When he had a high-powered American job in Ecuador, they had quote servants, many. Right. They had a big property.
Overhead.
Yeah. Now you're in
Overhead
California.
Here is crazy.
Now you're a middle-class family. Mm-hmm. You live in a 1,500 square foot house. Yep. It's not even an Eichler, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? It's nice.
A long car with 4 doors with a big motor that smokes and takes a shitload of gas.
It's still, and this is not, they're not broke, they're not poor, and they're living a lot better than a lot of people are living, especially in the broader world. But this is the worst she's ever lived. Yeah. And Naomi is not a fan of it. She continuously talks to everyone and describes it as her, quote, reduced circumstances. Wow. Reduced circumstances. Due to my reduced circumstances. And they said that the more this happened, the snobbier she'd get, which is strange.
Really?
Yes. The poorer they were, the more higher up in the air her nose would go. Because it's a normal house and, all that kind of thing. And she would tell everybody, like, this house, we had a much bigger house. So this is just.
Take it easy, Moira.
Just so you know, yeah. Then she started being scared of starving. Like they're going to not have because they live in a middle-class house now, the next step is no food. No food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine if this lady had to live paycheck to paycheck in an apartment, like the way we were brought up. Like she would be
if she's
terrified.
Oh man, the anxiety.
Remember looking over at your mom's gas tank and going, shouldn't we get gas soon? And her go, well, maybe not right now. It's
feeling that
they
car
couldn't afford
lurch.
it. Yeah,
yeah.
That
feeling that car lurch, and she's like, we better stop.
She's never had that problem.
No.
So. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right. Let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going, look good out there, and you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable, and you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, while still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high-quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Yeah. Jimmie's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah. They're terrific.
Come on, be like us, be fashionable, get in there with Quince, indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad.
Right.
There's chemicals in things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, which is
it's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, like I'm trying to get my protein intake up for energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff. And I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options.
Nice.
It's very cool. And you can personalize this portion and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Calling all dog owners. Your furry friend deserves top-notch nourishment, and Ollie delivers the clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world, with absolutely no harmful fillers or preservatives. With protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them taste test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/Wondery. Tell them all about your dog and use code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
And now she started to hoard food, canned food in the garage.
Oh, no.
So they won't starve.
Yeah.
She's hoarding canned food. And they said that she would stay in her locked bedroom and drink and do all this shit. And people would hear her different voices arguing all the time. And she'd be arguing like with her sister about something that happened in 1932. Shit like that. Yeah. Her sister's not there. She's just arguing with her, arguing with whoever from 40 years ago or whatever the fuck. Yeah. She's losing her goddamn mind. So Marlene had to go to a different school. She switched from Terra Linda High to a different high school. It's more of a one-on-one thing because she has a lot of problems we'll talk about. It's pretty much, it's a state finance school, but she tells everybody that it's an exclusive private school.
Okay.
That's why we live in this small house, because we're sending our daughter to such a good school. You know, her education comes before our comfort. So, you know, someday she'll pay us back.
I'll eat beans out of the garage until she graduates.
Yeah, she's creating her own little fantasy world. So Marlene, having a hard time, like we said, doesn't want to deal with her mom. Her dad's never home. He's working 14, 16 hours a day. Doesn't have a lot of time for her. So she's having a hard time. So what she gets into is drugs and witchcraft and thieving. She likes to steal shit, tell people she's a witch, and then trip out a lot. That's her.
Fascinating.
That's her jam. She's a fun 70s. She's like a heart song, this chick. Like, you know? Yeah. She's the third Hart sister there, the third Wilson sister who was too fucked up to be in the band. So she's all into that shit. She writes poetry all the time. She's super emo, real sullen, real like hardcore teenager to the max here. Her poetry, though, want to hear a line?
I sure do.
It's not about her dad anyway, so that's good.
Thank God.
Not about how her dad thinks she's hot. That's helpful. Quote, no one stops to step into my life, and those in it have long ago fallen asleep. I have been empty for so long. Okay. She's deep, man. Yeah. This is a teenager trying to...
Begging for attention.
Begging for attention and a lot of things also trying to... every teenager, when you're a teenager, you think your experience is unique no matter what it is. Right. So I can only be me going through this when a lot of people go through the similar thing. Maybe not quite to the weird extreme she is, though.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, if you talk to your kids' friends' parents, you'll hear them say their kid is the exact same as your fucking kid.
Yeah, probably. But the kids are the same. But then when you talk about the home life, oh, your mom, paranoid, schizoid tendencies, talking to old family members in her own voices through a fucking locked door where she's been drinking for 4 days, telling everybody that she has reduced circumstances and making you bite your arm and slam your head against the wall. All that normal? Kids would be like, well, I mean, my mom's she's a bitch.
Close,
and all.
But listen.
She wouldn't drive me to the mall last week. I thought that was fucked up. That's what they would say back.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. It got to the point where Marlene would not be allowed to leave the house. Naomi would try to keep her in the house, which is hard when you're shit-faced behind a locked door, though. That's why Marlene would get out a lot. They would get into such big fights. Naomi would overreact about something. This would include her room not being tidied up, which plenty of people fight with their teenagers over.
Sure, yeah.
But then smaller things like having Marlene slice celery, and she sliced it just normal rather than slicing it like diagonally, how she wanted.
Oh.
So they would get into a giant, major, insane blow up over it. And it would end with Marlene yelling at her and then giving her mother the Nazi salute and screaming Heil Hitler at her and walking away.
Okay.
She's Hitler.
She's very frustrated.
Yes. She's to the point of my mom's Hitler. That's the point she's at, which I've known teenagers that have called their parents Hitler before, but they didn't go to that extreme of screaming Heil Hitler in their face.
She's heiling in the kitchen while chopping celery.
Yeah. And then throwing celery, wrongly cut celery on the floor afterwards. So this would often escalate to physical fighting as well between the two of them, and it was a mess. So at school, she was described by her teachers as someone who would tell big stories. Okay. She wants herself to be important, Marlene, here. Yeah. A former teacher at her high school said, quote, she told me she had a lot of big hassles at home and she was going to split. This is very 70s.
It sure is.
Yeah, she said she was going to split, man. She totally just took off, man.
She's going to make like a banana from home.
She wore a fur jacket and a lot of jewelry. So her former life. She told me she went to a lot of big parties where there was a lot of drinking, a lot of dope, and a lot of sex. Who tells their teachers this in high school?
Yeah.
This isn't another kid. Party. This is a teacher. What did you do this weekend, kids? I fucked 12 guys and did a bunch of drugs and went to a cool party. That's not a thing you announce to your teachers.
I live like the fucking Stones on the weekend.
Yeah. She just described that chicken Almost Famous is what she just described, like Kate Hudson. So she spoke obviously amazing Spanish there, so she would work as an aide in Spanish class. She didn't really she'd get the grade and just help out because she didn't really need
fluent.
Didn't need to be taught Spanish by these people. She lived in fucking Ecuador forever. But the teacher said, quote, I had to drop her as a teaching assistant, and I took her to a counselor. You couldn't believe everything she said. Oh. So that makes sense. So that's when she was transferred out and went to a special, quote, one-to-one school in San Rafael. We're going to keep a real close eye on you is what that means.
Yeah.
So now this is when she's tripping out and falls into Chuck's arms in the front of Terra Linda High School, which for some reason she was there, even though she didn't go there either. Neither of them went there. Yeah. So Chuck and Marlene, initially, Marlene wasn't into Chuck physically because she thought he was too fat, she said.
Yeah.
Too heavy. Then she realized that, wow, he gives me gifts and drugs and stuff, and he treats me really well. So, fuck it.
When I'm fucked up, he doesn't rape me.
That's the other thing, or throw me in a ditch or something. Right. So she said this went on, and from that time, Chuck says that the relationship got better and better until, quote, we had sex every day.
Oh.
In hillsides, in cars, in bedrooms, everywhere. Just if this is the first girl that'll look at you and now she'll fuck you in any setting, I'd give her drugs and do things for her too at that point. You do anything for her.
Give her whatever she wants.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
I'll figure out how to get you the entire state of California. You give me a week.
You have no idea. This guy would rob a bank for you if you told him to. He'd do anything. So Chuck said that, they're having sex everywhere. And he also said that she had like a power over him. We'll talk about where that power came from.
Pussy, friend.
Well, yeah, he said, quote, this is amazing. It made him perform sex acts at Marlene's command.
Okay.
Just do whatever. That's right. Even with another friend in Marlene's presence. Marlene had him fuck one of her friends, apparently.
A girl?
Yeah, a girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think this would be a different type of thing. He said, I was embarrassed, but she wanted it.
Okay.
So
it would speak to how much power she really has.
Yeah, that would be a lot of power. Yeah, if she was like, take it in the fucking can, and he was like, pardon me?
You got it, babe.
Yeah, he bends right over. No, but this is a different thing. This is, she likes to watch, apparently.
Okay.
So she wants to watch.
She's a party girl, that's for sure.
She threatened on numerous occasions that if she didn't get money, drugs, sexual favors, things that she wanted, that she would, quote, turn to prostitution if he didn't do the shit that she wanted. I'll get it myself. I'll go be a prostitute. So
you can't do it for me legally. I'll blow dudes for all
which
of it.
Would make his jealous 19-year-old crazy mind explode, and he was like, no, I'll do anything you want, rather than going, listen, you fucking crazy lunatic, you do whatever you want and fuck whoever you want. I'm done here.
Manipulative asshole. I'm not doing it.
I got a little confidence up now. I think I can pull another girl here. This is crazy. You're making me do illegal shit.
I got one to do crazy wild shit I've always wanted.
Yeah, that's it. And also there's pictures and everything else.
Yeah.
It's wild. So he gets into drugs now a lot, as we talked about. He's doing all sorts of things. He said it was a surrender to peer pressure and just to be rebellious against his dad. Okay. That's what he said. According to his friends, he was a guy who was, quote, eager to please and generous to a fault, and a follower who was always looking for someone to lead him. He was that kind of guy, which there's a lot of people like that.
Those exist.
Once they're dating, it gets worse because you'll follow someone who's nice to you. Imagine someone who'll blow you. You'll follow them into the fucking fires of hell. It doesn't matter.
Betcha.
Anywhere. So they said that Marlene also, it seems like a lot of people said that she was having trouble, quote, distinguishing her fantasies from reality. And Chuck was confused and became hopelessly entrapped in the web of her imagination, the one friend said, lured there in part by her continued threats to break off the relationship.
Okay.
Anything he would say, any kind of resistance to anything, she would say, I'm going to break up with you and go be a prostitute. And then he would be like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. So he said he never stole anything in his life except for a couple of candy bars when he was a kid. And he said that she made him steal clothes from 25 to 30 different stores for her. They're all women's clothes that he stole. Yeah. And he said, quote, she'd rather that I stole it than I buy it for her. So it wasn't even like, you need to get this for me. Okay, cool. I'm selling drugs. I'll buy it for you. She's like, that's not how I want it. I want you to steal it for me.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not fun to wear if it's not fucking earned that way.
That's what I'm saying. So that's a little weird. And he also said that he believed, he believed Marlene's a witch and that her eyes have power over him.
Oh, her eyes can.
She's
a Medusa,
like a beam type of thing. Yeah, some sort of eye light beam Medusa control.
She can make me do things or turn me to stone. Thankfully, she's just making me do things.
You know what I mean? She's got things she needs done. I could be stoned someday, but for now, I'm just stoned and getting lots of ass at the moment.
Dang, hell yeah.
He wants to keep Marlene and her witchcraft powers over him. Apparently, she broke up with him briefly twice, and he attempted suicide 2 different times.
Oh, boy.
So this is a very unhealthy relationship.
So deep.
All around, yeah. It gets, now, because the parents don't like him, the Olives, they don't like him, so they ban Chuck from the home, saying he's a bad influence. Which I think the influences go both ways, but that's fine. Everyone's a bad influence. It's a bad cocktail. Those two shouldn't be together, is what it is. Just
she shouldn't be in that house either.
No, that's the other thing. Yeah, she needs something here. Now, March 26, 1975, he gets arrested for stealing $1,114 worth of clothes for her.
What year?
1975. Do you know how many fucking how much clothes that is?
That's either out of Sears, that's the entire department, or that's out of like a really fancy store where they fucking keep an eye on you?
It was several different stores where then once they found them stealing in one, they went back to other places they were and they said, "Oh yeah, we saw them," and they put put the inventory match to it and found out they stole it. $1,114 of shit
that's so much.
She would go with him and tell him what to take. She'd go scout it and be like, "Take this, take this, take this." She'd have like a shopping list for him and point it out, and then he'd steal it.
It's like $5,000 worth of shit.
Yeah, that's a ton of now going to the store. Yeah, and back then too, like clothes were less expensive, regular clothes.
Right. Yeah,
this is before really designer names that jacked up the price. A shirt or not, a really good shirt would be $20. You know what I mean, rather than $300 now. You know, something like there's some crazy. I don't know what the fuck people pay for their shirts.
I've seen $800 T-shirts. And
oh my god!
I don't know how that's that.
Wow!
I will never own that, but that's crazy.
I wouldn't want it even if that was like a reasonable financial decision. I still wouldn't want that. It'd be like, that's okay.
There are pants. Yeah, there are pants that are $1,000.
Oh my god! I'll buy a $20 T-shirt and spend the rest on weed. You know, that seems more reasonable.
There are hoodies that are $500-$600, James. They look just like a Nike hoodie.
But I got Nike.
I don't know.
And they're $60 on Amazon. I can get the tall ones too. They fit.
I don't know
what's happening.
I don't know what makes them that money.
And they don't have like a label even that says what they are, but other rich people know what they are though. I think that's one of those things where like if you have a $1,400 plain white T-shirt,
they know.
I go, that's a plain white T-shirt. But if you go somewhere with rich people, they go, oh, that's that one T-shirt. I know what that is.
That shirt. I've seen that.
That's just a weird life that I never want to lead. I
hope I want that.
Nope, I never want to be that, and don't want to have that much money. Everyone, calm down out there. Don't get us any more fucking whatever. We don't.
This is fun.
Yeah,
Kanye's walking around.
This could explode someday into something we don't want.
Like space outfits that are cutoffs. You know,
he's out of his fucking mind.
That's what it is. It's that shit. Yeah. It's so weird.
But he's mentally ill also. So there's
sure.
That's also
other people wear the same shit though.
They do. Then they look at him and go, "Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is." So they're very sullen. Chuck said he remembers the first time Marlene raised a particular subject, and he said, "Quote." We were all bitching about things we didn't like. School, being hassled by police, our parents laying down all these rules. You know, the man, basically.
Teenage shit.
In the 70s, that's the man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're basically having the plot of Dazed and Confused right now. Wooderson is going out with,
passing around a joint.
Wooderson's going out with Mila Jovovich, and that's instead of the other guy, and that's what's happening. So he said they were all upset about that, and he said, quote, Marlene began talking about how much she hated her parents. She said, quote, I wish they were dead. I wish someone would kill them. I know what you mean. Her friend said, I know what you mean. My parents are a real drag, too.
Somebody said, I get it.
She's like, I know what you mean. It's hyperbolic. You know what I mean? I wish somebody would kill them. I've heard people say shit like that. They don't mean it.
Me too, man.
Me too. My parents are a real drag, too. That's what she said. A real drag, man. It was tough. So then, within a few weeks, though, then she started talking about specifically how maybe would be good ways for them to die.
Yeah, because somebody said, I get it.
I guess she's like, yeah, I get it too. She thought, well, maybe we could get their insurance money from them. I'm their only kid. So maybe, So she eventually turns to Chuck and said, you know, you got to help me with this. Chuck said on one of their phone conversations, she said, quote, it's either me or that bitch. Either I'm going to do her in or myself. You know, or you must know someone who'd help us out. So either I'm going to kill her or I'm going to kill myself. Unless you know someone.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's very manipulative there. And he's such a fucking idiot. He's like, okay, let me help you. Rather than going, I don't know, bitch, that sounds crazy. I'll talk to you later, which is the normal thing to do. Right. So, yeah, I guess there was a huge fight right around this time about celery, the cutting of celery. And Marlene called her mom, quote, bitch, crazy lady. One day they're going to cart you off in a straitjacket, and marched away.
Okay.
So things have completely broken down. When Jim heard about this horrible fight with that, when it was a huge big blow off here, or big blow up, he just dismissed it and said they're both, quote, fishermen's wives. That's all they're being. They're just being fishermen's wives.
What is that?
Okay, I didn't know what that was either. I'm glad this is not a term that we all know. So I looked it up in several sources, okay? Now, the HarperCollins Dictionary, fishwife, this is fishwife, not fisherman wife. This is fishwife. Now, I'm assuming it's not a woman who's married to a fish, so I assume this is a fisherman's wife. And it says, quote, if you say someone is behaving like a fishwife, you mean they are shouting a great deal and behaving in a very unpleasant and bad-tempered way.
Okay, so they talk
It's
like
a British
sailor.
term.
Okay.
It's a British term. Yeah, you're a bunch of fishwives arguing back and forth. Now, in the Urban Dictionary, fisherman's wife is, quote, a woman, girlfriend, wife, etc., that is never happy with what she has and always wants more. Betty, I want that new purse and those shoes and that skirt. Tom, stop being a fisherman's wife.
I got a feeling that's what they are.
Yes, and then there's also fishwife, which is also in the Urban Dictionary. Two separate words, though, not one word like in the regular dictionary.
Yeah.
And that says a man or woman who collects other people's gossip and spreads it around to all and sundry. To gossip like an old fishwife. So a complaining, loud, jabbering person of this, a woman of this time. So just a couple of fishwives, fishermen's wives.
Fishwife.
It's a couple of fishwives.
Yeah.
So then at one point, he ends up, they have another fight, and Jim sides with Naomi against Marlene.
Oh.
Marlene feels betrayed now. So now it's really bad. It's getting awful. So this is real bad. So May 14th, 1975, Charles is arrested again. Chuck here. Possession of a weapon and marijuana this time.
Oh.
That's not great. Yeah. So the end of the school year comes, and Jim finds out how badly Marlene did at school and threatens to send her away to a boarding school in the fall. You're not going to go back to your school. You're going to go to a fucking boarding school, blah, blah, blah. And he also said, I'll get you put in juvenile hall for the summer, and then you'll go to boarding school. So he said that.
For bad grades?
I don't know how you do that.
I'm going
I figure
to arrest you for this D.
they're probably all full up from, actual criminal children, but that's fine. Yeah, I guess you could probably figure something out, but no.
Hello, 911. Yeah, my daughter got a C. Can you send a couple squad cars over here?
My daughter is not applying herself in her biology class. Is there any way
Gonna need backup.
Yeah, I would bring 3-4 people. She will bite her own forearm. And she'll heil you. So be ready for that. She's going to heil
Slam
all
her
over
head
you.
against the hallway. Well, you wait and see. This shit's crazy.
So she told Chuck, quote, they're sending me away. You better do something fast or we're finished. If you can't find someone else to do it, you do it, Chuck. Do it yourself. Please, Chuck, pretty please. After we collect the insurance money, we'll have enough to get married and move away. To Ecuador.
What the fuck, man?
She wants to go to Ecuador. So, yeah, this is now she's talking about not just mom. We should just kill both of them. You know what I mean? At one point in May, she puts Darvon and Dalamane, which is a drug, in her mother's food.
Oh.
She puts drugs in her mother's food to try to poison her.
Darvon and Dalamane?
I don't know. I've heard of Darvon before, but I don't know what Dalamane is. So whatever. She said, though, that she tried that. Didn't really work. Her mom didn't even, she thought
Mom had some gas.
Well, she thought the food didn't taste very good and went and took a nap. So there was that.
This tastes like shit.
Yeah. So then she's asking, Chuck to find somebody. Chuck at one point said, why don't you go to a foster home? You could do that.
Yeah,
till it eases the situation. And he said he found a family for her to move in with, actually, just outside of town. Yeah. And so she actually moves in with them, but that didn't work out, Chuck said.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, by the way, Chuck isn't the first person she's brought this up to.
No?
At one point on a double date, this is not with Chuck, with another guy before Chuck or during one of their breakups, Marlene's date said later on that Marlene had asked him to, quote, supply a bomb so that she could blow up her parents' car. Two other young men here who are friends of both Chuck and Marlene said they also had sexual relations with her as well later on. Different guys that they know.
She's so much fun.
And she told them that she was a witch.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's what he said too. Chuck will tell anybody that'll listen, she can make him do things against his own will with her powers, quote, powers. All she does is take her tits out, and I don't think it's beams coming out of her eyes. They're coming out of her tits. She lifts her shirt, and he goes, "I'll do what you want."
Look, it's fun to put those in your mouth, man. It's not. It's not a curse. It's not a spell.
To her, to him, it's fucking witchcraft. That's exactly what it is. It is otherworldly. Nice on your tongue.
I don't know what to tell you.
Her tits are other fucking worldly. That's what he's saying. They are. To him, they forces from beyond will come through those nipples and into his eyes. Oh my God!
It's also fun to drag your tongue down a pussy. I don't know what to tell you, man.
What I
mean,
it's
not a spell. It's fucking nature. It's
what
awesome.
You are is a man who likes chicks, and that's. Both Jimmie and myself both afflicted with this terrible disease. It is terrible. It's rough.
It's crazy.
I've had it since I was, pretty young. It came about pretty young, and it hasn't let up yet. I'll tell you what. I don't know.
The lack of arguments that I do when I have my dick in a woman's mouth. I'm a
there's no
puppy.
I'm very agreeable.
What a curse!
Cursed, forced him to do things against his will.
What a spell!
Forced against his will.
Yeah.
No, please don't. Well, okay.
Yeah. Henry
Hill. What are we talking
did.
about? That's exactly. I
gotta go to work.
The exact.
All right.
No, Karen, I don't know. Well, okay.
Okay.
Well, all right. So another guy, Mike Monroy, he's a former carnival worker. That's terrific. He's a trustworthy cat. He said that he left Marin about a year during all this shit. This is later on. And he said that he also had an affair with Marlene.
Oh, my God.
But could not give the time frame. He said that last spring this is before all this, he and Marlene, quote, made plans to kill Mr. Olive. And they went so far as to buy a telescopic sight to shoot the father from a distance.
Without the gun? Just the...
Well, they got that first.
Yeah.
I think they had a
the
gun.
Optics first.
You just need a rifle, and then they got the scope, I think is how it worked. But they actually got a scope to make this shit work.
Wow.
So, another friend here, or actually this guy here, Monroy, said that he had second thoughts and he started thinking, quote, do I love her enough to kill for her? The answer is no.
Yeah.
No.
Then it packed up and moved up to Humboldt, and I forgot all about it.
That's what he did. He followed the carnival out, and he was gone. Another friend, 20-year-old guy named Tom McCarter, he, by the way, Jesus Christ, when the paper's talking to him after all this stuff goes down, he was in jail after having escaped from the California Youth Authority. So he's a winner. He said he and Marlene shared the satanic religion together. That's why they were friends. And he said, quote, the religion to him means that you get what you can here and now. That's what he said. It's a very 70s interpretation of the whole thing.
That's just great, friend.
He said, Marlene asked this guy, quote, do you know anyone who kills people? But he told her he just didn't. He was fresh out. I don't know anybody who kills people. No. So she apparently told other people she considered herself a high priestess, as a matter of fact.
She's even up in the chain of command.
Yes, and she told people she could command her lover, Chuck, to do anything she wanted. This is what she told her friends.
Okay.
Deanna Krieger, who was 17 when this went on here, she's a dropout from Terra Linda.
Sure.
She said, wow, this is wild. She said that she was a close friend to them, and she said that Marlene spoke of herself as a high priestess with power over Chuck. She carried tarot cards symbolizing her dominance over him. And she'd take it out and he would act like he was under a spell, like the Undertaker in the urn back in the 90s. Yeah, right. So this is, I'm going to read a couple of, this is from a newspaper, and this is about a 17-year-old girl. Quote, the buxom witness. 17-year-old girl who's testifying in the newspaper. They describe her as buxom.
Big-titted bitch.
There's another one later on that's even more mind-blowing. Said that Chuck allowed her to carve her initials, M.O., in his back with a knife.
Oh.
She branded him. She also required Riley to perform acts on command twice in the presence of Deanna Krieger. She said she was present when Chuck stole articles of clothing from women's stores after Marlene selected the things she wanted. By the way, it's harder for men to steal shit from women's stores because we kind of stand out in the middle of a fucking women's clothing store.
Right.
Especially if you're a big, heavy set guy. What are you walking around picking up fucking size 4 women's clothing? Right. Obviously, it's not for you.
He's got an armful of size 4 wandering around, and they're like, hey, where'd all those clothes go that you had a minute ago? I put them back? No, you didn't.
If you walk into a women's clothing store, everyone that works there will come up to you because they know you need help.
Yeah,
you don't know what... Unless you go like, oh, no, I got this, and start picking out shit in your size. Otherwise, they know you need help, and you have no idea what you're doing. So you'll take all the help you can get. He'd be surrounded by salespeople. This is crazy.
And if you know what you're getting and you know your own size and you're getting all your own size in a women's store, those clerks can't be more friendly with you. They love you.
Oh, yeah. Plus,
either way, you're going
to buy a bunch of shit. Yeah. You're in there. If you're not into browse.
Right.
You're into buy.
You're a party.
You're buying, man. So this Krieger, Deanna Krieger, also said that Chuck would buy cocaine and other drugs for Marlene to take on dates with other young men. So all these guys she was banging was while he was with her, and she would say, "Get me coke so I can go take it and go fuck this guy." And he'd go, "Okay," and he'd do it, and then he'd steal shit for her. Oh God, Chuck, man, Jesus Christ, Chuck. Chuck needs a buddy. Chuck needs a wingman who goes, dude, fuck this. What is wrong with you, bro?
Dude, just jerk off, man.
This chick's a skank, man.
Yeah.
Like all fucked up at 3 a.m. Yeah. She's a skank, bro. She's fucking other guys and makes you buy drugs for her, man. Fuck that shit, bro. Hell no.
Fuck my sister, man. She'll be thrilled about it.
Come on, man. I'll hook you up. Or there's a chick that works at the Sonic with me, bro. Come on, man. I'll hook you up. What's up?
I'll tell you her favorite color. She'll be thrilled about it.
It's gonna be good.
Then you just act like you guessed it.
Oh yeah, holy shit! So that's what was going on. Also, Deanna Krieger said that Marlene would bite Chuck on the shoulder until he was black and blue, and would pinch and slap him as well. I don't know if in a playful way or just in a mean way.
Yeah.
Also, she had Chuck take nude photographs of her to submit to men's magazines.
Yeah.
This is a 16-year-old girl. So if
That's
you had
illegal. Yeah.
If you had men's magazines in 1975, you could have been whacking it to this junior in high school. Be careful out there. It was a dangerous world in 75. That's not something you want to be. It's not something you'd want, really. So also, Deanna described Marlene's green eyes as, quote, weird.
Huh.
Okay, that's actions are whatever, but her eyes were weird is not a
recessive gene is not weird.
That's just, my mother has green eyes. It's not weird. It's fine.
It's
Jesus
a
Christ.
Gene that
That's all.
Up.
Yeah. So she said that Chuck was deeply in love with Marlene, but that Marlene didn't love Chuck back.
Obviously.
And Deanna Krieger said, it's my personal opinion that she uses him. That's it. Another girl who knew Marlene for about a year and a half said that Marlene constantly talked about how much she hated her parents. Not only that, wished they were dead, and often talked openly about killing them, saying on different occasions that she was going to poison them, blow them up in their car, and, quote, push them off a cliff while inside the car.
Okay.
Anyone...
She's gonna push them off. Put them in the car and push them off a cliff. Yeah. Okay, so she's doing some real chicken shit from a distance murdering.
Oh yeah, blow them up, poison them. She said this friend said she didn't take Marlene seriously, even though one time Marlene asked this person, "Hey, I might need you to be an alibi witness as I'm thinking about killing my parents." And she was like, "Get out of here! Yeah, you're crazy." Finally, Chuck also, she asked Chuck the name of a friend's brother because she kept asking Chuck, do you know somebody? Do you know somebody? And Chuck said, yeah, my friend's brother. He might do it. And he gave her this name because he didn't think that she'd be able to find him or get a hold of him. And she did.
Oh, God.
She found the guy, and he said he'd think about it.
Oh, my.
So now he's like, oh, shit. Now, later on, Chuck will be hypnotized multiple times. Let's find out what he says under hypnosis here.
Oh, boy.
He said that Marlene said, quote, they're saying, what's going on? You're talking to Marlene. Hypnosis is like putting you back in the time.
Oh, God,
So it's present tense shit he's going to say. Quote, she's talking about putting some kind of pills in the food, in some soup. I want to get around it somehow, but I have to do it because she says so. I can't avoid it. She told me I had to do it. That's all we talk about. She asked me on the phone, where do I hit my mom to kill her? How hard do I hit her? So that's what he says is going on in June of 1975. Then Saturday, June 24th, 1975 comes around, and it's a bad day. Just a bad day. They get in a huge argument, Marlene and Naomi do. Huge argument, and during this, Naomi called her a trash, called her a piece of trash, called her daughter a gutter tramp, and said, not only are you a gutter tramp, it makes sense because your natural mother was a whore.
It's just like your mom.
Yep. You're a little skank and you come from whore stock, is what she said.
Yeah, it's clearly genetic.
It's genetic horritude. That's what it is. It happens, I guess, here. Oh, boy, you know how that goes. I don't think Naomi's a geneticist, but
no,
we'll find out. So Marlene shouted back, I hate you. And her mother said, well, that's fine because you're a gutter trash tramp whore with a whore mom.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not me, the other mom.
Right.
So then this was followed by you're a bitch and you should shut the fuck up. And then they go back and forth like that, screaming and yelling into a point where it's never even gotten before. This is beyond hiling her, beyond this.
This is very childish, and there's no fixing this apart from separating them.
She needs to get out of this house. So she instead marches over to the phone and calls Chuck and says, quote, get your gun. We've got to kill this bitch today.
Oh, God.
It's on. So Marlene picks out, according to all what we imagine and what we think happened here, a hammer, and then there's the gun that he's got. So there's a hammer and a gun. So she drops a number of Darvon capsules into her mother's soup, but her mother, again, didn't like the way it tasted and only had a couple of bites and then went and took a nap.
Okay.
So Jim also goes to his bedroom and falls asleep. Now, Marlene at this point said once her father went to take a nap, she picked up a claw hammer and went in the room and stood there. She says later on, quote, I stood over him. I started to bring the hammer down and I pulled back. And I tried it again and pulled back. And then she just couldn't do it. And that made her even angrier, she said. She was super pissed that she couldn't do it.
I'm incapable of...
I just want to smash this guy's skull in, and I can't do it. So she had Chuck hide near the house, because he's not allowed in the house, until Jim left the house. So Jim leaves the house in the family car with Marlene, apparently, at this point. So they're gone. It's just Naomi asleep in the house, and it's an empty house. So Chuck walks in. He finds the claw hammer that Marlene set aside for him. She told him where it was. And there he goes. So let's say this is what he said under hypnosis. He describes it present tense. Quote, I'm terrified to walk in the house. It's been so long since I've been there. Mr. Olive was going to kill me if he saw me enter that house again. I stood there for a couple of minutes. It was so quiet. I walked down by the bathroom, and there's a door, and it was closed. It was Marlene's bedroom. Naomi lay asleep on the bed. Quote, I just hit her. I don't remember anything after that. He said he struck her repeatedly in the forehead with the hammer. Wow. He said the final blow, the hammer lodged in her skull, and he couldn't get it out.
For heaven's sake.
This is a little bit gross right here, everybody. If you're real queasy, you might want to skip ahead about one of those 30s you might want to hit on your app there. Quote, I had to touch her and take the hammer out. It was really hard. It wouldn't come loose. Oh, my God.
Deep.
I just about broke the hammer. Blood. No. It's burning my hand up. My left hand, blood. There's blood everywhere. It shot out when I pulled the hammer out, all over my hand. Fire. I have to do something to get the blood off. I can't stand it. It's burning my hand. Then I saw the hem of a dress, and I picked it up and wiped my hands on it. She wouldn't die. She wouldn't die at all. Please, God, let her die. I just couldn't see her living like that. It hurt so much to see that, so much. So he picked up a steak knife and plunged it into her chest.
Oh, my.
She still wouldn't die.
Oh, my.
So he gets a pillow, and he's trying to smother her with a pillow, He's on top of her face, trying to smother her with a pillow, giant, big, broken forehead with her. I mean, she's just breathing at this point. I mean, there's no brain activity, whatever. So at that point, he hears a car pull up.
Oh, no.
Yes. And so it's Marlene and Jim.
Yeah.
They come in. Marlene pauses in the doorway to let her father walk in first.
Yeah.
Okay. She apparently told her father, quote, "Don't go in there. You're going to die."
Oh.
He just giggled and walked in. He thought she was just saying something you're like mom's being crazy. Don't go in there. You're going to die. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, welcome to the jungle, baby. You're going to die, whatever. Yeah. Just a casual warning.
You're going to die.
Yeah. That's what it is. So, he just walked in. So here's what Chuck says about what happened. Quote, "I see Mr. Olive. He is walking toward me. He looks in the room and sees Mrs. Olive. He screams. He runs over toward her. Oh, my God, Naomi. Oh, my God. I can hear the screaming echoing in my head, just echoing. And then, no, he sees me. He sees me. I'm going to kill you, you bastard. I'm going to kill you. There's a knife right there in the nightstand by the bed. Don't pick it up. No, he's picking up the knife. He comes toward me. I shoot him. I shot him. I just pulled the trigger. Never even took the gun out of the bag. He didn't even know I had it. Just shot him. He spun around facing me again, and I shot him 3 more times before he hit the floor. I just couldn't stop pulling the trigger."
Shot through a bag that was in?
Yeah, like a paper bag.
Okay.
He just reached in and popped it out the paper bag. So, wow. Then Chuck walked into the living room and sat there after he did all this. Killed them both. They're both dead, the parents. Walks in, sits down, and stares at the fireplace.
This man has used 3 different weapons to murder 2 people.
4, yeah, 3. Yeah, no, 4. Steak knife, pillow, gun, hammer.
And a pillow.
4.
Jesus.
Yeah, he's done the full array here. So he's staring at the fireplace, and Marlene sits next to him and says, "Everything's all right, Chuck. Everything's all right. Don't worry. It's all right."
You've done great, Chuck.
Things are pretty fucking far from all right now.
Yeah,
this is we are.
This is fucked up as it gets.
On the other, we're a long bus ride away from all right. This is far from all right. So after that, they sit there for a minute. Then they go into Jim and Naomi's bed, and they have sex. Chuck and Marlene. Oh, yeah, they go have sex in their bed. Because both these murders didn't happen on their bed. The other one was on the sewing room bed. Naomi was killed. So, they do that. Then they go rifle through the bodies, rifle the possessions here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they empty Jim's pockets, remove the gold ring, the wedding ring from his hand, and also he's got a school ring. They take that. They take credit cards and a checkbook from Mom's purse there as well, and take off her watch and rings.
Oh boy!
Strip them down.
Jim still wears a high school ring, huh?
Still got is it a high school ring?
College,
a jade
class,
school
right?
ring. It's probably college. It's probably college. Yeah, I imagine college. So then they decide that, well, we got to clean this place up a little bit. There's fucking blood everywhere. Yeah. This is wild. So they clean up the whole place. They scrub the place down.
Yeah.
And in the 70s, you can kind of get away with that. There's, they didn't just come in with a fucking handheld black light and see what was going on. So a little bit different. And so they end up going to the mall. Not to buy like supplies to clean shit up, just to walk around the mall, because that's what you do when you're a teenager. You go to the mall. Yeah, it's a Saturday night, Jimmy. What are we else? We had plans to go to the fucking mall.
Let's go get an Orange Julius.
Susie and Tommy are meeting us by the Wetzel's Pretzels, and if we're not there, they're going to go to Foot Locker without us, and I won't have it.
It's going to look weird if we're not in the arcade.
Listen, if we don't get to Chess King by fucking 7:30, this whole night's over. So
play some Double Dragon.
Wow, Jesus! Back then they'd be going to play Pong, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, or some fucking pinball.
Pinball, yeah. So they shop, they chat with friends, they just have a normal night at the mall, like kids did back then. Then they go back to Chuck's house.
Oh yeah, because hers is gross.
Where he lives with his parents. Yeah, it's going to be getting gross by now. So after they just visit briefly there, then they go to a friend's house where they fucking smoke weed and do coke.
Yeah.
And then Marlene, everybody witnesses, Marlene insisting that they go fuck in the friend's bathroom as well. Oh, my God. So he's got to be tired. All this murdering and fucking is a lot for one night.
And walking around the mall, too. He's a fat guy.
I didn't hear eating at all. So
No.
then what do? Chuck's hungry at this point. So
Yeah.
then they go out to eat at a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, boy.
I'm in the mood for Chinese. I've plunged a hammer into a woman's fucking brain. The last thing I want to see after I've seen brains is lo mein. I have no interest in that. I'm not looking at it. Right?
Yeah. Orange chicken. Anything.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck no. Chinese is not the answer for this day. It's just not.
I don't want to see that sauce that you dip the wontons in, for
Nope.
Christ's sake.
None of it. I don't want sweet and
out.
sour chicken. I want none of
No.
this shit. I want no part of it. So, yeah. So they go out to a movie.
What'd they see?
They don't know. Just to the movies.
Oh,
a film,
my
they
God.
said. Then
Just
they go.
living life.
Just living life. Then they go back to the Olive household. So now they got to figure out what to do with the bodies. But they had a nice night first. So they drag them outside and they put them in the back of the family car, in the back of the family truckster here. So they do that. They then drive to an isolated rural area. It's a place off North San Pedro Road in a remote country on the eastern tip of Marin County that extends into San Pablo Bay. So it's a very out there as they could find in that area, right? So they go there. This is a place where hunters would barbecue poached deer.
Oh.
If you didn't have, this is where you do whatever. So
Very fresh deer.
very fresh deer here. They call it China Camp.
Okay.
A real Asian flair tonight these two have, huh?
They really do.
I know where to go. Did they take the Chinese food there to eat it too?
Yeah.
So they're going to China Camp. So I guess it's it's there. It's a favorite spot also, not only for hunters to burn poached deer, but for teens to go get shit-faced. It's a teen party zone. They said
Yep.
it's a grassy clearing, and the ground is littered with beer cans.
You bet. It's
And
the
fucking-
outskirts of town where we all go.
That's it, and cigarette butts. So they find there, the place where they barbecue poached deer, is a concrete and brick, circular, 16-foot in diameter fire pit.
Yeah.
Big fire pit. No, it's a big circle with an open top just to make a big bonfire in.
Yeah.
But it's meant to last,
is
concrete and brick,
perfect, yeah.
okay? So they place Naomi and Jim side by side in the concrete fire pit. They cover the bodies with a big stack of branches, then empty a big thing of gas over them, a gas can over them, and then they light a match and burn them. They burn them. So
She doesn't know.
no, they burn them up. So once the fire's going a while, they then go back to the Olive household to sleep. It's been a very long day, a lot of activity today. They get up at 6 a.m., though, to make sure the fire had did its work.
Sure.
Now, when they get there, they realize that Naomi's almost completely incinerated, but Jim's torso and head remain pretty much intact, just burnt
really
to shit.
hanging on. Yeah.
You can certainly see it's a human being, though.
Yeah.
So they make a larger fire, which then reduces everything to ash for the most part, as we'll find out. And then they hurry home because Chuck didn't want his parents to know that he was out all night.
Oh.
He wanted to get in before they woke up.
Yeah. Get there before they start making phone calls.
I think that's the least of your problems, Chuck. Curfew. I think you're so.
I don't want to know I didn't go to bed till late.
You know how that is. So Sunday morning, 9:49 a.m., a firefighter named Vic Torini, he ends up at the state park, China Camp State Park, and sees a giant blaze going on. Yeah. So he pulls up. It's 9:49 a.m. The firemen find bones in there, and they go, fucking hunters burning deer, assholes.
Huh.
And then also in the ashes, what they don't see are some gold pieces that could possibly be dental crowns and other identifying pieces.
Definitely nothing to do with a deer.
No, but it was so common for this to happen with the deer out here that this guy didn't suspect anything nefarious and starts shoveling the ashes over the low wall in the surrounding area, and then pouring water all over it to extinguish all the
Just
embers.
scattering bodies.
Just crime, just evidence, crime scene. Just let me put water on it so it's really we don't want it to have any scientific value whatsoever. He couldn't have done more to help them if they hired him, for Christ's sake.
He looks real callous at this point.
Yeah.
If cops saw that and recognized a bone as human, he'd look like the worst person on earth. He's just
Wait a few
throwing
days.
bodies.
Yeah. This is what they should have done. Scatter the ashes, water it all down. Then no one would have noticed. But instead, what Marlene does, now they should shut the fuck up, wait for that money, take off, go to Ecuador, and never be heard from again, right?
What does she do?
She
Scares
tells
people?
everybody.
Everybody.
She tells all of her friends that Chuck hit her mother on the head with a hammer while she was sleeping in the sewing room of her home. I mean, details, Jimmy, not just we killed my parents, enough said. I don't know. She's been telling everyone she's going to do it for so long. I guess it's like, I'm not full of shit. See, you guys all made fun of me.
Fucking told you.
She also said that her father was shot in the back by Chuck and that she admitted to wrapping her parents' bodies in sheets and waiting until dark. And then once it was dark, they took the bodies to the fire pits at China Camp where they were burned using wood and gasoline. And she said that they're going to wait until everything, clears out. They're pronounced dead and all that. Then they're going to collect the insurance money and move to Ecuador together.
Oh.
That's the plan. So Darlene Krieger said that Marlene told her about the slayings 2 days after they took place. Okay. I mean, it was very quick afterwards. She said it was, right away. She said that she was told of going to the Olive home that day with Marlene and being freaked out by weird vibes coming from the sewing room where Marlene allegedly where her mom got killed here. So, yeah, that's what she was told. So Chuck and Deanna Krieger arrived that night at the house with a 1/4 pound of what they describe as high-grade marijuana.
QP.
Sounds like a great night. And
4 ounces?
Yeah, and then when they were all hanging out, they admitted participating in the murders, and they nodded and said, yeah, when Chuck would nod and say, yeah, when Marlene described how it went down.
Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity. And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep shoppers coming back with personalized experiences and first-party data that give marketing teams a competitive edge. In fact, it's proven, based on a report from EY, businesses on Shopify POS see real results, like 22% better total cost of ownership and benefits, equivalent to an 8.9% uplift in sales on average relative to the market set surveyed. Want more? Check out at shopify.com/Wondery. All lowercase, and learn how to create the best retail experiences without complexity. Shopify.com/Wondery.
February is the month of love, and we all deserve a little something special. Dime Beauty is having their annual Valentine's sale right now, where you can get 25% off everything with code VALENTINE. It's the perfect excuse to refresh your beauty routine or pick out a thoughtful gift. At Dime, clean is more than a standard. It's their promise. Dedicated to skin-conscious ingredients, they focus on creating beauty, skincare, body care, and fragrances that are safe, gentle, and free from harsh chemicals. With Dime, you can trust what you're putting on your skin every single day. If you're looking for the perfect nighttime anti-aging cream, their TBT cream is a must-try. It's packed with clean, age-defying ingredients that nourish and hydrate your skin while you sleep. But don't just take my word for it. Over 3,000 five-star reviews speak for themselves. Whether it's skincare, fragrance, or a little bit of both, Dime has something for everyone. Visit DimeBeautyCO.com and use code VALENTINE for 25% off right now during their Valentine's Day sale. Grab your favorites before it's over. DimeBeautyCO.com.
So a week goes by, nobody hears from them, nobody cares.
Wow.
Then Jim's business partner, Colonel Phil Royce, he said Jim's never gone for a long time. He hasn't been at work in a week. What the hell's going on? He's called, nobody answers. Yeah. So he's like, this is wild. They were supposed to go to Sacramento for a business conference. They just opened a firm called Another General Business Services branch there. And he said my partner was going to move his furniture into the office during the weekend, and the furniture was there when I came in on Monday, but he never came. And I hadn't heard from him by Wednesday, so I called the house, and he said Marlene was up there, and she said her parents weren't home. She said they'd been on a camping trip and had just come home. I told her, have your father call me when he comes in, and she said he would, but then he never called, and I was never able to reach anybody at the house again. Okay. So he waited until Saturday, June 28th, and then he said, okay, something's wrong, and he called the cops, and said maybe if you could do a welfare check. It's not like him to abandon his business for a week and not call anybody. It's, just wrong.
He's been fired and demoted from a lot of places, but not for a lack of trying.
Not for no call, no show.
Right.
Honestly, the business has been doing much better in the last week since he's been gone. I'm not going to lie to you, but still, that doesn't mean I want him dead.
Yeah. I don't want you to find him, but I also don't want you to find him dead.
That's the thing. So they go back. The cops go to the home that day, the Olive House, and no one's there. They knock, no one answers. Okay, they leave. Then they go back again that evening, and Marlene answers the door. Okay. And she's there all by herself. Yeah. And the one cop said the daughter said she hadn't seen her parents for more than a week. She said she'd been she said that she'd been gone for 3 days on a camping trip. So that she came back and they were gone. So she hadn't seen them since 3 days before that. Now she's a juvenile at home without supervision, so they take her to police headquarters.
Yeah, because you can't do that.
Yeah, so they talk to her from midnight to around 4 or 5 a.m. Okay, here. So they said she told a number of different stories about where she was and who she'd been with. They said that she was put into the custody of county mental health officials for psychiatric evaluation because they thought she was a little weird.
Yeah.
When
she tried to fuck everybody.
And she tried to fuck all the guys who were putting her in a straitjacket. There was a bunch of people also. They started getting information. The cops started getting calls that were anonymous, calls from people saying they're young and they have a friend and they're a friend of a couple or a friend of this girl and they know that something happened to this girl's parents. They're getting all these cryptic calls. This one young friend said she had been to the barbecue pit and knew that Marlene and Chuck had been there too.
Oh.
So then the police and a psychiatrist interrogate Marlene for 14 hours.
Whoa.
Which you would not be able to interrogate a teenager for 14 hours nowadays. Since Brendan Dassey, I think that's the last one you can really get away with like that.
Yeah.
Because even that, in the end, they were like, come on, you can't fucking do that. He just wanted to see WrestleMania. That's a little much.
That's a long time, yeah.
The general rule is that what I've heard from homicide detectives is once you go past about 6, you better have a goddamn good reason and some food. And then once you go past about 8, you're pretty much in the time
useless,
where it could get thrown out at that point because, then it could be just coercion.
It's just crazy shit that he's just going to say to get the fuck out of here.
Then that's when people's their brains start working different after that and they start saying things in desperation. So they said that they interrogated her for 14 hours where she told multiple contradictory versions of what happened to her parents.
Yeah.
They continued to press the whole thing, and finally, one of the other witnesses during all of this said that, I know where the barbecue pit is. I'll take you there.
Okay.
So they go there, and they find bone fragments, clothing, stockings, a dress that had been burned, all this shit that the firemen weren't looking at. So the bones are taken to an anthropologist, and they identify them as human, at least 2 pieces of human remains that they're going to trace back to the Olives, obviously. The press in this area freaks out. This is they call the barbecue murders in giant everywhere. That's what they're called to this day. Really? If you look up the barbecue murders, it has a Wikipedia page. It's its own thing.
Wow. Of
Of all the people who've been burned in the world, how many? We've talked about a bunch. These are the barbecue murders.
These are
specifically.
the ones. Yeah.
Specifically.
And it's only 2, and that sounds callous, but generally when you say the barbecue murders, it
there'd
sounds
be 100.
Like there's like, at least
shoveling
11.
bodies.
Yeah.
Like a forklift coming and pouring fucking piles of bodies in there. Yeah. This is wild. So July 1st, 1975, Chuck is at the Mill Valley Waterbed Company where he works.
Yeah.
And he's been working there. They said since the Olives have disappeared, he's been coming in doing his regular shifts, acting normal. So they arrest him at 4 p.m. on July 1st.
Sure.
They go in there, arrest him. They talk to Chuck. They find out through some other people that Chuck had sold his .22 caliber revolver to a friend a few months ago, then borrowed it back the morning of June 21st and returned it on June 23rd.
Not suspicious at all, Chuck.
Not suspicious. Just need this for about 3 days, and I'll bring it right back.
I'm going to go popping squirrels. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so the friend obviously gives the gun to the cops, and there you go. He says that they've been planning to murder the Olives for some time in order to prevent them from keeping him and Marlene apart.
Okay.
That's his version of it. On the day of the killings, he said that Marlene phoned him up, said, get your gun. Fucking Chucky, get your gun. Let's go.
Yeah.
It was prearranged. She'd lure her father from the house, get him out of there so he could go in and kill Mom with the hammer that she placed there, and then shoot him when he came home, Jim when he came home, and that he got his gun, loaded it with bullets that his friend bought for him, went in the sewing room. We told you bludgeoned and couldn't get the hammer out and all that disgusting part there. So then when Mr. Olive arrives and discovers the body of his wife, that's when he shoots him in the back, and then they tidy up, they fuck, they clean, they take off, take them, burn them with gas, burn them again, blah, blah, blah. He says that he was, quote, high on drugs when he committed all the murders and did all this stuff. Yeah. He said that he admitted discussing the murders with Deanna Krieger, we told you about. Yeah. And he also admitted cashing personal checks belonging to one of the Olives several days after the killings, which is a dead giveaway that you've killed them. So if they've ever written you checks before, no. Now they do. You're not even allowed in their house. You think they're writing you a check for something? Please. So then they find in his house letters from Marlene in Chuck's house. One letter to him from Marlene said, quote, of course I hope you'll wait till I'm 17 to marry me or kill my parents. That's romantic right there. Now that's Shakespeare. You know?
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet. I don't want to hear any of that bullshit. That's of course I hope you'll wait till I'm 17 to marry me or kill my parents. That's lovely. It's you can see that, like with a tiara on, a real princess saying that.
A Montague thing to do.
Oh, it's a real Capulet problem. So another letter to him found in her room. This was in Marlene's room that she hadn't, I guess, given to him yet. Quote, if I could kill my parents, I wonder if Susan could come live with me. I don't know who Susan, it's one of her friends. So a third letter, which was found in Marlene's room and dated January 1974, was addressed to Mike, who's one of the other guys that we talked about who she was fucking. And that's a former boyfriend. And it read, quote, I was thinking about what you said about that man who would take care of my mom. I think we should talk it over together, you and I. I'd be worried about what would happen after she died, but whatever did wouldn't keep me away from you. Yeah. This is, obviously when her and Chuck are deep into their relationship.
Wild horses and murdering my mom can't keep me away.
Can't keep wild horses. Couldn't keep me from killing my mom.
Unfucking believable.
Then, after that, several other people who are like, oh yeah, that's all she would talk about. Kill my mom. It got fucking old. Like I stopped hanging out with her because it was like, well, Jesus, kill her already if you're going to fucking do it. This is ridiculous.
Light the fucking joint or kill your mom.
For Christ's sake. Yeah. What the fuck, bro? Light the bong or fucking move on and go kill these motherfuckers. I don't care anymore. So then the cops come out and they make a statement. They said the father was shot. He said the gun was borrowed by a friend, and he makes this whole statement saying that, then afterwards, the mother and father were slain in the sewing room of their comfortable home. A bed on which Mrs. Olive was accustomed to taking naps in the sewing room was missing. They just took the whole bed and burned that too.
Wow.
Yeah, rather than, worry about sheets and cutting pieces out of mattresses. Whole bed's gone now.
Throw it on top of the truckster.
Yep, throw it right on there like Aunt what's her name?
Yeah.
So he said, Mr. Olive was shot with a .22. We have the revolver. We don't know what weapon was used on Mrs. Olive. She was bludgeoned, and positively those are the bones of the Olives. Marlene at one point said, quote, I opened up my big mouth one time too many. Everything exploded. Everything that was building up inside of me for years.
One too many.
One too many. So she said she was just saying how sad she was, and Chuck must have taken it out of context and wanted to kill her parents. It's crazy.
I told one too many persons. I'm so
one
sorry.
Too many people. She appears in court, and Marlene now denies all participation in everything.
I didn't do
know
anything.
It was going to happen.
Yeah.
Love my parents. I don't know what happened.
I'm such a fan.
I'm a big fan. She said that she was, quote, frozen in place with fear when she heard Chuck's shots. Now, the judge, though, in her initial court appearance, ruled that, quote, Marlene Olive did encourage, instigate, aid, abet, and act as an accomplice in the homicides of her parents. More than likely. The evidence says that, enough for court anyway. So there's a psych workup for Chuck here. And this is a social evaluation by a correctional counselor at San Quentin Prison early in the time where he's put away here. Now, this is obviously valuable with a guy like him because you got to go, what the hell are you thinking? Because we've given him 100 other options of what to do here. Just didn't have to do this. They describe him as, quote, very quiet, mild-mannered, shy and withdrawn type of person who never did have a lot of close friends but always craved for close interpersonal relationships with others. Quite possibly, he just never got beyond the immature and overly dependent pre-adolescent stage of emotional development. He exhibited a low image of himself and appeared to be an inadequate type of person who's unable to cope with the demands of living in the complex and urbane society. Socially and emotionally isolated and quite unsophisticated.
Yeah, the kid got pussy once, and he'd do anything for it.
That's what it is. Yeah, they described a lot of 18-year-old kids who haven't figured it out yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People that got that figured out how to talk a girl into doing nice things for them way too late.
They never figured out how to do that, or they thought they should have earlier, but didn't.
Yeah,
some people are like, I don't know, I was doing other things and didn't care. Right. I know a lot of people like that. Yeah. So they said quite possibly he just never got over beyond the immature and overly dependent pre-adolescent stage of emotional development, low image of himself. He felt inferior due to his overweight condition and big stature. And his sense of not belonging was exacerbated by the family's move to Arkansas for 15 months when he was in grade school, after which he was not able to resume contact with the old crowd and began to associate with younger peers.
Mm-hmm.
People who would hang out with him.
Rob childhood.
Yep. He began to smoke marijuana and just before starting 7th grade and found a sense of status in giving or selling drugs to high school students, as well as in having a motorcycle. Yeah, he's trying to figure out what will make me cool.
Right.
Does weed in my hand make me cool? If I sit on this, am I cool? How am I cool?
Yeah, and the more against the grain you are, that's how you feel cool.
And we're not letting him off the fucking hook at all here, because no matter how much you like pussy and all that, you shouldn't be able to repeatedly plunge a hammer into somebody's forehead and then suffocate them and stab them. And you shouldn't be able to do that. So this is definitely another problem. And it's not like Marlene didn't have a shit life, too, because she was lied to, didn't know she was adopted. Her mother's a fucking wackadoo, alcoholic, schizophrenic maniac. So
lying to a kid that's adopted is one good way to almost guarantee that they will fucking lash out.
To piss them off. And they'll certainly wonder, what are they hiding from me? What are my real parents like? Then they really want to know. Quote, he did not date girls and had no girlfriend or sexual intercourse until he was 19 and met Marlene Olive. By his description of their relationship, he was passive, insecure, and greatly dependent upon her, and she took the domineering, aggressive, and influential role of leadership. That everybody says that. They said that she would, they said we watched her control him with her eyes.
Yeah.
But that's almost like hypnosis, like you both have to volunteer for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to want that to be controlled by somebody.
You have to want to control, and he has to want to be controlled.
Yep. She sought him out for sex, not just daily, but even more than once a day. Oh, well, I mean, she's just fun then. That's fine.
Him.
Yeah, as long as she wasn't 16, that'd be great. So, problem is, she's 16, and this is weird. He now reflects back and sees that she forced him to remain childlike, dependent upon her approval, wanting to always please her while she could be the adult and dominate his emotions and behavior. I guess, because that's what her mom does, I suppose. Yeah. Reportedly, this love affair had a very forcefully direct influence in motivating their decision and actions in committing these homicides. The counselor noted that the psychodynamics of the relationship of the subject and his girlfriend/crime partner seemed to be pivotal in evaluating this case, and that these homicides are not in keeping with his overall social background, and that his short-lived criminal career does not suggest an underlying and basic antisocial or criminal mind or orientation. Mm-hmm. The subject is guilty of these murders is undeniable. Also, subject is an inadequate person. That goes without question. He does get his high school diploma while in jail.
Oh,
though,
good.
So
good
nice.
Job, Chuck.
Good job. Let's see if he'll ever use that in his life or if he's going to go away forever. So Chuck, in his defense here, he says, all those confessions, never mind all that, okay? Yeah. I was just crazy. That was talking. One was out through hypnosis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can't count that, you know what I mean? So they claimed, apparently, that he had he's saying, I just wanted to protect Marlene. That's why I was saying I did it. I felt bad. But now that I know she's saying I did it too, fuck that, Yeah. So he denied any complicity now in the murder of Mrs. Olive. I didn't kill Naomi, but I killed Mr. Olive in self-defense.
Okay.
I killed him in self-defense, and that he only participated in the activities to conceal the crimes because, they took money and stuff and he was forced to. Yeah. So another psychiatrist testifies. Basically, this is a weird fucking guy, is what he testifies. He said that, this is fucking weird. While in the county jail, the psychiatrist talked to him, and he testified that Chuck calmly discussed the murders of both of these people while eating his supper. Whoa. Like real conversational, just having a little chat while eating some mashed potatoes.
Jail meal. Yeah.
Yeah. This is Dr. Gerald Hill, said that Chuck exhibited inappropriate behavior during the interview at the jail some weeks ago, and also said he thought he was exhibiting the same type of demeanor in the courtroom when he's in court today, when he's testifying. As a psychiatrist, he said one of 3 persons who hypnotized Riley, he testified that Chuck turned and grinned and winked at friends in the courtroom. Tons of kids have come to this court, by the way. It's full of teenagers, the whole courtroom. Really? They said that yesterday his eyes continuously sought out those of a pretty blonde teenage girl, and at least once he exchanged notes with her through a bailiff. He is trolling for pussy while he's on a fucking double murder trial. That's, by the way, this is a death penalty case.
Unbelievable. And he's out here winking at folks.
He's out here like, what's happening, baby? Hey, homeboy, yo. Hey, why don't you drop this note off with that sweet little blonde thing in the back there and just hang out for a sec, see if she writes something back.
Holla at that shouty for me, would you?
What the fuck, man? So, I'm blown away by that. He first told 2 listeners after his arrest that he bludgeoned Mrs. Olive to death and then shot her husband in the home. Later, he said he did not kill the mother and shot the father in self-defense. He said that he is stuck to this latter story under hypnosis with the other more hypnosis that he had. Not the first one, but after that. And the judge has yet to rule whether the jury can hear the tapes of the sessions here. So the doctor, one of the hypnotists, told the court that he chatted with Chuck during the meal period at jail, and he said he found, quote, an absence of appropriate feelings. That could be the name of this episode, an absence of appropriate feelings, because that is all over this fucking shit. Holy shit. So there's that, and he said that in the youth under the circumstances, and he characterized Chuck as having a, quote, hysterical personality, as well as being highly hypnotizable, suggestive, and passive. You can get him to do or say whatever you want, pretty much.
That's a malleable fella.
That's right. He's a big chunk of Play-Doh, this guy.
You betcha.
You can just put him however you want. Silly putty. Yep. So they said the issue of whether a person can lie under hypnosis has been the subject of a lot of back and forth, obviously. Yeah. The guy here, the doctor, said that there's an extremely high possibility that an extremely hypnotizable person like Riley would tell the truth under hypnosis from what they've seen in the past. He also says that Chuck was the type of person who might confess to crimes he did not do. Also, that's also under his personality type. Another hypnotist here who runs the one-man hypnosis institute in Mill Valley said he's been asked to hypnotize Chuck to find out the truth. He's been asked by the defense attorney to do that. He said there was only one discrepancy in Riley's story under hypnosis, and that had to do with dragging the bodies to the car. The prosecution says that they dragged him out there, so that kind of goes with their thing. Now, they do have the tape. They're going to play some of these tapes in court. On a tape played in court here, Chuck maintained under deep hypnosis that he didn't kill his girlfriend's mother and that she killed Naomi. And the hypnosis asks, what's the secret you've been keeping to yourself? And he says, quote, I didn't kill the mother. I think she killed the mother. She did it. I didn't want her to do it. That's what he said. Okay. On the tape, Chuck repeated under hypnosis both versions he gave of the killings, though, on the same tape. He went back and forth. So I think he's just saying what he thinks people want to hear at the time he might think they want to hear that.
Which person is here and which story do they want? I'll give that story.
Yes, and sometimes it's the same person, but he might think, I don't know if he's under hypnosis, he forgot what he said 10 minutes ago, so now he thinks that they want something else, so he'll say it that way. I don't know. I don't know if he's just suggestible, but I certainly think he probably did the killing, though, because you got to have some force and some strength to drive that hammer through the forehead multiple times.
Or just straight up rage, which she's capable of, too.
She does have a lot of rage. Yeah. We know that. She's got a lot. So we'll find out. So they said that one hypnotist here said in the taped interview, quote, turn your mind back to that Saturday. Who killed when James and Naomi were killed in their home. What did you say to Mrs. Olive? He asked. And he said, I never talked to Mrs. Olive. She was dead. Later on, he said that he was instructed to imagine what Marlene would tell you. And he said, quote, my dad was waiting for me in the car. I killed my mother. I hit her with the hammer, was the answer. Then more questions. Chuck told the hypnotist that Marlene returned home and said, oh, my God, Naomi, I'm going to kill you, you bastard. And then said, quote, he said, quote, I shot him. Because he said, oh, my God, Naomi, I'm going to kill you, you bastard, which is what he said before. Asked what he had told the police about the killings on the day of the arrest, he repeated the original confession, which he gave to a guy named Sergeant Bart Stinson, which is hilarious. It's very close to Bart Simpson. I wanted to call him Bart Simpson so bad. It almost came out. Yeah, which had also been played to the jury. In that version, he said, I just did what Marlene told me to do. I took the hammer stuck in her head, all that stuff there. Jesus. So throughout the taped interview, this next one, not the first one, Chuck says, what are you going to tell, or they asked Chuck, what are you going to tell me, what are you going to tell me is going to bring you relief? And he was asking stuff like that. So the prosecution maintains that he was dominated by Marlene, but he did it all himself. That's what he's saying. So that's also the story he told the police. So that's kind of what the prosecution's going with. The defense psychiatrists have testified that it's 7 men, 5 women on the jury, by the way, that Chuck suffers from such a mental defect that Marlene had such a hold on him that he may have made a false confession. Oh, no. He had hard penis syndrome. It's very rare and awfully debilitating.
Well, listen, if you don't do anything while this is here, it's going to hurt for quite some time.
It's going to be rough on you.
Yeah.
Deanna Krieger a lot of pressure. It's going to pop.
Boy. Yeah.
It's going to pop. Deanna Krieger testifies, and she says that she believes Marlene killed her mother. Earlier in grand jury testimony, she believed that Chuck killed the mother. Okay. Now she says she thinks it's she said that despite being an emotional, they talk about, they went over to the house and seeing the bloodstains. Remember, she was the one that went over with the quarter pound of weed. And she said, despite being in an emotional state after seeing bloodstains in the sewing room, Deanna Krieger said she spent the evening of June 23rd smoking several joints with Marlene and Chuck, and later had sexual relations with Riley when the 3 of them went to the bed. They had a threesome. Oh, my God. I wonder why this guy will kill for her. Let's smoke some joints and I'll fuck my friend. What is happening over here? This is wild.
Just delivering him so much poon.
Oh, my God. Jesus. I guess, wow, what a wild. These people, they're teenagers, these kids. Yeah. This is a wild style life if you're, divorced twice and trying to get your mojo back. So anyway, Miss Krieger also, she was one of the people who called on the cops on them, too. The jurors take a field trip to the house there, which is always weird. They inspect the house, which is now unoccupied at the moment. Sure. And they said that it appeared to disturb Chuck to return to the house where this all happened here. He walked calmly off the bus, his hands in his pockets. He looked pleasantly at the cameramen because there's news people all over there. And the prosecutor showed them all around. The judge is there. They viewed the kitchen where dirty dishes left by Chuck and Marlene are still there.
Yeah.
They saw Marlene's bedroom with an unmade bed and piles of discarded clothing. They viewed the bedroom in which Naomi was murdered, the sewing room, and they had, I guess they rearranged it later to look like a sewing room. So it didn't. So people wouldn't go, where's the bed?
Oh.
They moved shit around. Yeah, put the sewing machine over the blood stain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it had a sewing machine in it, but it was a spare bedroom. And they were like, no, this is just a sewing room. There's no bed in here.
Now, yeah.
They looked down the hallway where Chuck said he had to hide when James returned home. Jim returned home to find his wife dead and all of that. So they said this was an attempt to cast doubt on the second story that led to, him saying that Marlene did it and he came over and just killed the father. The prosecution's trying to cast some kind of doubt over that shit. So they said that jurors were quiet. One remarked that the house seems smaller than he had imagined from looking at a floor plan displayed in the court.
Yeah.
One of the issues there where there were 2 exits from the house when Jim Olive returned home. In the second version of what happened, he said he thought he was trapped when the father came home through the front door. Meanwhile, there was 2 more back doors.
Yeah.
You could have got out. So Chuck has to testify. He has to. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
He's got to be more convincing than any of these people. So day 1, he admits under oath that he killed Jim, but denies killing Naomi.
Yeah.
They said, the first question I'm going to ask you, did you kill Naomi Olive? And he said, no. They said, did you kill James Olive? He said, yes.
Oh.
There you go. So he went on to describe his whole life and his meeting Marlene and how he was having sex all the time with her and all this type of shit. He said that he believes Marlene to be a witch and that his eyes have such power over him that if she were in the courtroom right now, he would not be able to give the same testimony he's giving.
Oh.
He wouldn't be able to say that I didn't kill. I'd have to say I killed Naomi because
that's how much control she has.
Her eyes would just overpower me with their witchiness. So day 2, he testifies. He's on the stand for multiple days.
Oh, my God, this poor bastard.
He admitted he lied on the stand about another matter, but stuck to his other shit. He said that he definitely didn't kill the mother. That he's sure of. So he is accused of it all, though. They said that they called him today the heavy-eyed youth, yawning frequently from further cross-examination. Said that the way they spent the week after the death was Marlene's idea. He testified he and Marlene went out to nightclubs, out to dinner, and had daily sexual relations. He also worked at a waterbed firm, taking drugs and getting almost no sleep.
Okay.
So earlier, the judge had heard all this thing, and he said that he told, basically, Chuck, the judge asked him a question, and one of his answers was, quote, Marlene made me do it.
Uh-huh.
So he said that he told Marlene after the deaths that he would take the blame, is what he said in court. That's what he said. He said on the morning of the murder, he took up, dropped some acid, as one does.
Yeah.
And then in response to get your gun, he went out to get the gun at a Fairfax service station. I guess he met his friend. He couldn't find the person who owned the gun, so he picked up his own gun at a friend's house, the one he had sold, and then carried it to the house in a paper bag. He got there, hid in some bushes. Marlene motioned from the kitchen window not to come in yet. He heard the car leaving, he said, and he saw Jim Olive in it, so he went in the house and found Mrs. Olive dead. A hammer was lodged in her skull. Yeah, he said earlier that Marlene had asked him, how hard do you have to hit someone to kill them? So, yeah, he said that he wanted to, when he heard the front door opening, he was afraid to get caught in the house, so he hid behind a chest. And he says Jim came in, saw his dead wife, screamed, oh my God. Then he said, I'm going to kill you when he saw Chuck. So Chuck said, I had nothing else to do. He was going to kill me. So he said he fired it 4 times. He said the next thing I knew, he was lying on the floor dead. And Marlene said had followed her into the house and said, I'm sorry I had to plan it that way, Chuck said. I knew it was the only way you would do it. That's what Marlene told him. Like, sorry I had to have my dad bum rush you, but that's the only way you would do it, I know.
I had to kill the woman and force you to kill him. That's what I needed.
That's how, because I couldn't do it myself. That's what he's saying here. So, Jesus Christ. Fuck, man. Another witness testifies that she met Olive. She met Jim and his daughter about 2 p.m. at the Northgate Shopping Center, which goes, that backs up his first statement. Chuck admitted that he lied when he described how he happened to turn a shotgun into an illegal weapon before he was arrested with the weapon in his trunk last May, because he had altered a shotgun. Yeah. He said he sawed off the shotgun because the barrel split after he fired it, not to make it cool. He's later produced the gun and piece that had been cut off, showing the jury that it wasn't defective, and he said, yeah, I guess I did, when they asked him if he lied about it.
Oh, so they said it split.
No, they said, is the rest of your testimony lies? And he said, no, it's not. He said that, yes, he did. He used to sell cocaine and sell weed and amounts worth up to $150, and he did not consider the drug sales illegal. Okay. I'm glad that you think that way. So day 3, he says, after a dream in his county jail cell, he began to doubt that he killed his girlfriend's mother. That's how it happened. At first he thought he did because the whole thing happened so fast, but then he had a dream, and he said, no, I don't think I did it. Yeah, that's what he says. He's telling a prosecutor in cross-examination this bullshit. So that's what he's doing. He said, I told her I would take the blame. Now, in the closing, the prosecutors say the evidence shows that he calmly and coolly planned and carried out the murders of his girlfriend's parents, says that, the evidence of the coldness of the defendant, He said that they were missing the bones and teeth from the fire pit where some of the charred remains were found. Try to give the real picture of how gross this was. Riley first confessed to the crimes, but later said he had remembered what actually happened after a blackout. Give me a fucking break, they're saying. He said on the witness stand that he said under hypnosis he did not kill Olive. He did not kill Mrs. Olive, and that he only shot Mr. Olive. But then he said that they planned it out, and, they were going to have them declared dead, and they had a plan. Then he said, quote, someone removed the remaining teeth from the burned bodies. That we don't have. It's common knowledge that corpses can be identified through dental charts. He also noticed the absence of any large bones or joints in the fire pit. They think they stuck around and got that shit out.
Made sure, yeah.
The defense contention that Chuck is totally innocent and was set up by Marlene has not been borne out, the prosecutor said. And further, he said a theory that advanced that Chuck was, quote, bewitched by her, the prosecutor called it almost ridiculous. I think it's almost hilarious and absolutely ridiculous. They said the only evidence that Marlene was a high priestess, as she has told everyone, is that she told fortunes with tarot cards. So they said he used a stolen gun to kill Olive. That was further evidence of premeditation, since a stolen weapon couldn't be traced if left at the scene of the crime. Yeah. So furthermore, they said that the evidence shows that he was friendly, cool, and calm during the week after the murders. He was able to lie convincingly to police officers and job and friends and all this type of shit. So the verdict comes around. Again, courtroom is mostly high school kids. There's some people, there's a 20-year-old named Tim Sullivan who said, we just happened to walk in on this trial. We're observing the reactions and watching the judges as a socializing agent. It's a school project.
Yeah.
The effects he has on the opposing attorneys and how he treats witnesses. The judge is being very formal and very strict. So, wow. They said
it's a murder case, man. What do you...
A 17-year-old from Terra Linda High School said, nobody really talks about the trial at school. This is bad publicity for people our age.
Sure.
Another teenager said he was waiting in line to get in because, quote, my mother told me I should see how the court works, and my father's a member of the jury. Go see what your father's doing. Go. Yeah. I said go where your father is. That's what that is.
Your dad's sitting on a murder trial. Why don't you go sit down there and watch that shit?
Go listen to the details.
To the awfulness, which is this.
Wow. So it's two counts of murder. Mm-hmm. They're hoping that he'll only be found guilty on one. And the murder of the father and not the other. Uh-huh. They said, he's guilty. Guilty of both.
Wow.
Both guilty. Sentencing comes around. Not you, sir, yet. So, January 26, 1976, death penalty on the table.
Wow.
The judge says the court found that Chuck's testimony about shooting Mr. Olive in self-defense implausible and noted that Chuck and Marlene had strong motives to commit the crimes and Marlene's frequently expressed hatred for her parents and in Chuck's anxiety to please her, the Olive's efforts to prevent Marlene from seeing Chuck, and the personal monetary gain through the death of her parents. Yeah. And because she was the sole beneficiary, intended to finance your trip to South America with your fuck buddy there. You, sir, may fuck off. Death penalty they give him.
Wow.
Death penalty.
Chuck's going to die for this.
They're going to take Chuck to the chair.
How old is he?
20 at this point.
Oh, my.
So as he's led away, he gave a smile to his parents, and he made a, peace sign at him.
Wow.
And then he did a thumbs up. All good.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Good. Now, Marlene here, she's 16, and she gets an attorney, Terrence Hallinan, who has been promised half her inheritance to defend her in juvenile court. First of all, to make it in juvenile court rather than adult court. Remember the Buxamy? They called the other girl Buxamy?
Yeah, the hot chick, the big-titted 17-year-old.
In this one, this is a 16-year-old. The newspaper talks about Marlene and says, quote, the bosomy teenager sat between two You're noticing her tits?
This ripe child.
The bosomy, the grass on the field play ball teenager sitting there. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't comment on a 16-year-old tits in the newspaper.
The bushed-up, big-titted child.
Wow, that is wild shit. So, the bosomy teenager sat between two probation officers in probate court here, being held in the courtroom. let's see. They appointed a 21-year-old juvenile hall volunteer, somebody who volunteered at juvie, Carolyn Shalman of San Rafael as guardian of the estate while this all goes on. Okay. Hallinan, the lawyer, who's making an all or nothing, because they might get something, he might get nothing. They think the estate's worth $50,000, so he might get $25,000, he might get Ugats here. So if she's found responsible, she can't inherit the money, and he doesn't get dick. So he comes out in the courtroom here. She is requesting a $75 a month allowance from her dead parents' estate in court.
$75.
They tell her no, not till we figure this out. There's a witness in these proceedings that gets held in contempt and then gets it dropped. A 16-year-old girl who didn't want to answer questions about Marlene.
How were her tits?
That they did not see. They must have been terrible. I was going to say no mention of her ass, but the tits is better.
This sloppy pig got held in contempt.
I mean, they said she gives a great blowjob, but nothing about her tits. That's fucking great. So she gave vague answers to the questions.
Yeah.
And she said, he asked me if Marlene hated her parents because they were strict. And I said, doesn't everybody? And that got her held in contempt.
Really?
Yeah, that girl. Marlene tells her story. She says on the morning of June 21st, she argued with her mother. She does this in court now. She said she argued with her mother, and then her boyfriend here called several times and heard this going on in the background. Later that day, Marlene said her father left the house to pay a marijuana debt that she owed.
Really?
So Dad didn't even say, here's money, go pay for that weed that you owe.
He said, care of it.
I'll go drop this off for you, which
like
is...
it's the water bill for your apartment.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, don't worry, I'll get your car payment this month.
Unbelievable. When
they returned, that's when she said she went to the kitchen for a glass of orange juice and walked into and that's when Jim walked into the sewing room, her dad, where Naomi often napped, and she said that Dad said, "Oh my God, Naomi, what's happened to you?" And she heard her father sob, and then gunshots rang out.
Okay.
She said that Chuck emerged from the sewing room here. In one hand, he had a pistol. In the other, he had a blood-spattered fucking childhood frame picture of Marlene that he grabbed in there.
Wow.
And so she said he had just clubbed, beaten his mother to death, and then shot her dad. She said she was so scared that she said, "Are you going to kill me too?"
Uh-huh.
And then he didn't answer, but he began savagely beating her.
Okay.
Just started beating the shit out of her. Now, in the next...
noticeable at the mall.
I was going to say, in the next 6 hours, and the next fucking more than that, 18 hours, where they're constantly hanging out with people, no one said there was a bruise on her, a mark, a scratch, nothing on anybody.
Well,
so
I mean, the white pages were handy, so...
Jesus. She said, quote, "He was just a madman. His eyes were bulging. His face was red. He had blood on his shirt, and his hands looked gigantic." Well, that's his hands look gigantic. What does that mean? Jesus. She said she was going to call the police, but Chuck kept beating her. Then held her basically prisoner for the next, week and change. Just held prisoner by him. I couldn't do anything. She was always in his company. Meanwhile, he went to work every day, all day. He worked 8 hours a day.
At the waterbed store while he was exhausted.
Yeah, exactly, while he's exhausted. She said she was always in the company of him, or when he went to work, 3 of his friends who, like Chuck, also dealt drugs. They were very scary. Very scary. That night, after visiting these friends and eating dinner at a Chinese restaurant, they went back to the house where now Chuck says he wrapped the bodies up, dragged one of them out of the sewing room and asked her to help out, but she could only pull it a few feet. So he finished the job of loading them into the station wagon. They drove to the fire pit where he doused them with gasoline and lit them up with all this wood. She said she tried to call the police from a restaurant 3 days later, but was stopped by one of Riley's friends who came and put the fucking clicker down on it and said, "No way, sweetheart, not happening." During that week, Chuck made her cash checks for him. And at his request, she wrote a note saying, "Hello, this is Naomi Olive. My husband's out of town. I'm sending my daughter downtown to cash a check." He made me write that, and then I went in and cashed a check and took money from it. He made me do that. Deanna Krieger's back. Deanna Krieger. She's a prosecution witness. She repeats all of her testimony and then adds one more detail that wasn't in the other trial. She says that Marlene told her that Marlene removed the wedding rings from the bodies of her parents before burning them.
Filthy.
Which looks terrible.
Yeah.
If you're standing over a corpse taking jewelry off it, that looks bad.
You're a scumbag.
So they decide that she will be sentenced with the California Youth Authority, not as an adult here. They sentence her to you, young lady, may fuck off. A period of at most 5 years because it's till you're 21 at the most.
Okay.
But more like 4 years, and then you can be paroled after like 2.5.
And then we'll do this again when you're 21?
No.
And
then you're free. Then you're free. You could get out when you're 18 and a half and be free and clear forever. On parole or whatever, but free.
Holy.
And Chuck gets the death penalty.
Oh, my God.
But, I mean, I think he did all the killing, if I'm being honest. I think he did the hammer. I think he did all that shit. But I think 2.5 years is a little light for her. So the judge told her, quote, when you are released from custody, my advice is to change your name, move to another part of the country where people do not know about your crime, and start all over again.
Yeah.
So this also will block her from inheriting the estate as well. Sure. Mm-hmm. So the lawyer gets nothing. 1978, the Supreme Court deems the death penalty statute unconstitutional, and Chuck's death sentence is commuted to 2 concurrent life sentences with the possibility of parole after 7 years.
Oh, so it's up.
Almost here. Yeah. So while he's there, he's in behavioral programs. He earned his GED and a bachelor degree in something, too. Okay. Marlene is set to be released in, I think this is 1978. I think it's right before Christmas 78. She is held in the California Youth Authority. One night, she is supposed to be doing her laundry, and she, by the way, one police captain from San Rafael didn't know she was about to get out. He said, had we known she was about to be paroled, we would have strenuously objected to it. Yeah. 2 years is hardly long enough to serve for such a horrendous crime. But the thing is, she's doing laundry one night, and she fucking takes off. She hops an 8-foot fence and escapes.
Oh, that's great.
She's getting out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
she
that's
does this.
Great.
How wild is that? She's a wild one. So, holy shit. So they do that. They say that an administrative assistant in the parole department says, we can't give any details. We can't even say that we know her. Nothing. It's about 10 p.m. She disappears, climbed over a fence, and sped off in a waiting car.
That's great. She's going to get so much time.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
Months shy of her release from here, which is wild, she leaves and flees to New York City.
Wow.
Goes all the way across the country in 1978 New York City, where she, quote, this is from a court document, quote, found work as a prostitute.
Of course she did.
That's not found work as a prostitute.
It's not. There's not a jobbing. There's not a monster.
Yeah.
It's
I said
pretty
found
easy.
work. I'm like, oh, maybe she said, nope, found work as a prostitute. That's not finding work. And then got into drugs hardcore as well, of course. Yeah. She's also calling people while she's on the run.
Really?
Remember Carolyn Shellman, the volunteer from the juvie there? She's calling her all the time.
What's she saying to her?
She called her 6:15 in the morning while she was still asleep. And she said, quote, I hope you're awake and ready for this because I know you're not going to like it, is how Marlene started. So she said minutes later after the phone call, 2 San Rafael police officers came over and were warning anybody that knew her about penalties for aiding and abetting a fugitive. Okay, so Marlene was gone. So this woman said that she didn't, know what to do here. She felt bad about the whole thing, so, which is, I don't know why. She said, why would she blow it? She was getting out so soon. She was going to be out before Christmas. Oh my God, this is terrible. Marlene got top grades at the Youth Authority's Ventura Detention Center. Yeah. Where she earned her high school diploma and her associate's degree. She'd been tentatively accepted into UCLA upon her release.
Oh my God.
Holy shit, do you put that on your college application? They said she'd been rebellious and hostile when she first got there, even slashed her wrists a couple times, but then she stabilized. She's doing so great. She said, quote, my God, do you even realize what you're giving up? On the phone, she said this to Marlene. We have to talk this out. I want to hear from you in person. Why are you leaving? And then she was already gone, though, was the thing.
blowing guys for.
Yeah, Hold on, I got a blowjob. I got another guy on the other line about a blowjob. I'll get back to you. Pulled a Lou Brown.
I gotta go. I'm sucking dick.
I gotta go. So he said that she said her escape makes sense to me, knowing her as well as I do. I don't agree with it, but I can understand why she felt driven to go through with this, in that every other option was closed for her, except for in 2 weeks.
Except for serving the rest of her time, she's almost done.
She also said there was a girl that she met in there that she was very close friends with, named Mary Tucky Masterson. Tucky's her nickname, who had been released a couple weeks before that on probation. This woman goes on to say the two had been inseparable. They would go to any lengths for each other. They're like Puppy and fucking what's her name on Love After Lockup.
Yeah, I see Pencil Tucky and Orange is the New Black.
Yep, that's
the bad teeth.
They trusted each other completely. They desperately wanted to be together again, so the decision was to escape. Because of that, she said that the girl was being also, she said, Marlene told her that she was being sexually harassed by young men in the Los Angeles institution.
Sure, yeah.
So she wanted to get out of there. So they said that this woman said, I spent 10 months working for her. She was angry and vulnerable, and then she turned into this great kid and, blah, blah, blah. She said, I know she loved her father very much. The shock of his death traumatized her completely. I think she's been sucked into a set of circumstances she had no control over.
She's sucking in for sure.
She's sucking something. I had to put that in there.
Yeah.
So anyway, they catch her. She's arrested.
Yeah.
They arrest her eventually. She's returned to California to finish out her sentence.
Was she in the city?
She's in New York City. Being
Yeah.
a fucking prostitute. Yeah, that's what she was. So she got picked up for something, and they eventually figured out who she was. So 1980, she's released. Free as a bird. Done.
Wow.
21 and done.
Wow.
Out.
They can't add time to it, huh? Because she's a juvenile.
Because they tried her as a juvenile.
Yep.
So she's out. 1981, she visits Chuck in jail.
Stop it.
No shit. That's fucking wild. She goes with her lawyer, visits Chuck in jail. At one point during their visit, Chuck asked Arlene, "What you thinking about?"
Yeah.
And they never ended. What you want for dinner tonight? I don't know. What do you want?
What are you thinking about?
What you thinking about? She responded, quote, I was just thinking about what had gone down. We just lost our marbles, didn't we?
Lost our marbles.
Lost our marbles? You think understatement of the fucking year.
Caved your mom's head in with a fucking hammer.
That's fucking wild. So during the 80s, you think she cleans up her act, gets married, has 2 kids. She is a school nurse at this point now.
Get out of here.
No, not at all.
Okay.
She's arrested many, many, many times in the 1980s.
Yeah.
On forgery charges, drug-related charges, prostitution. She serves jail time. She moved to L.A., changed her name several times, was arrested at least 7 different occasions on a variety of crimes, including forgery, drugs, fraud, and theft.
Yeah.
She changed her name all the time. Her arrest record continued in Hollywood and the Valley with more charges, forgery, all this type of shit. She twice served 1-year stints in jail, once for forgery, once for violating parole by using drugs. In 86, she was arrested in Los Angeles for orchestrating a large counterfeiting and forgery ring that she was in charge of. 1991, she's arrested 3 different times on forgery-related charges, each time providing false identities to authorities. So she kept getting out because they didn't think that she was being, wanted for 5 other things. She posted bail as a different person and was released. And by the time the fingerprint checks got back, because it was computers,
too late.
Not then, done. So in 1992, the Los Angeles Times describes her as the, quote, queen of the trashers.
What is that?
Woman who can basically pick through your garbage and steal your identity. That's her.
Oh, wow.
That's what she does. She's arrested for possession of stolen credit cards, counterfeit IDs, and forged checks. They believe her to be one of the leaders of a large ring of thieves and the main supplier of phony checks and credentials to the group. She's the one who goes and gets all this shit. They said that she can take a voided check or bank statement called from a trash dumpster and turn it into a lucrative enterprise.
Wow, she is an enterprising genius of crime.
She is a fucking arch criminal.
Yeah.
She absolutely is. She's like a Batman villain. They call her a cut and paste artist. Okay. She's an expert at taking stolen or thrown out checks, counterfeiting them, creates false identities for passing them, and all that kind of thing. She was arrested, believed to have been the leaders. There's 20 thieves in this group that she's one of the leaders of.
She's the Robin Hood.
She is. They were banks, small businesses, check cashing companies, office equipment suppliers, supermarkets, mom and pop stores, anybody that took checks.
Yeah.
They also said in the network of motel rooms that she used, they found typewriters, color copiers, portrait cameras, laminating machines, and computers that helped her perfect the art of making false IDs and phony checks.
What?
Oh, yeah. She's
like
into this.
Frank Abagnale.
Yeah, she's not just robbing people and selling their credit card on the street. This is a whole separate thing.
Whoa.
L.A. Police Detective John Metcalf said there was evidence that she had even attempted to forge California new driver's licenses that were designed to be counterfeit-proof.
Wow.
She's even do that. So they said, we will never, ever figure out how much damage she's done. They said she had just quote, she had many, many, many IDs. She's always able to bail out before they knew who she was, and she'd go right back to it. She was arrested with a, quote, spread, what phony check artists call a package or wallet containing a complete set of bogus identification documents, along with legit or counterfeit credit cards and checks. You want to be this person? Here you go.
Right.
Yeah. That's
kit.
wild. Unless you're working for the CIA, that's pretty
Right.
That's pretty wild. But yeah, they arrested her. She had ID cards, more than 1,000 other pieces of identification. It's a lot. And they said she was just starting to work on a new California driver's license. Holy shit. They said you rarely find this kind of organization, but she goes way above and beyond the norm, is what the cops said.
I would say so.
Holy fucking shit. Now, Riley in prison, very quickly, he has a few different issues. 94, unsanitary living quarters in prison, a demotion or a demerit. 2000, storing items in a prescription refill back rather than prescribed medicine. He says it was coffee that he was taking to work with him. He put it in a prescription bottle. He also gets a Bachelor's of Science degree in business admin from Chapman College, and he does all of that. He has vocational drafting with A+ grades, and his employer said that his instructor said he's employable in that field. He works at the prison shoe factory, does all this shit. He gets married twice, as we'll talk about. Marries one lady, and that only lasts a year. Then he marries another woman when he's 31. They're married for 10 years. She dies of breast cancer.
Oh, no.
So, is he going to ever get paroled here?
That's
Let's find out.
That's a great question.
In 82, his first hearing, they said that the psychiatrist said that he had no mental disorder and that his violent potential at present appears no more than average. Just as crazy as everybody else, just as dangerous as anybody else. They said, denied. We heard what he did. 85, they again found no medical disorder, no more than an average risk of violence. Denied. 87, the psychiatric council for the diagnostic unit concluded that he had limited insight and evaded responsibility for his life crime. Also said he had narcissistic, antisocial, and histrionic personality traits, but no personality disorder. And they said that the testing was favorable in terms of violence proneness. Also said that he had mixed substance abuse in institutional remission. In other words, he doesn't do it because he's in jail. Right. So there you go. That's 87. 89, they said again that his violence potential outside of a controlled setting is estimated to be less than average now.
Oh, he's chilling out.
Chilling out. 1990, this doctor agreed with previous evaluations, and he then said that he should be given strong consideration for parole as soon as the board finds it's appropriate. And they said, not this year.
Okay.
Try again. 93, they said that they found him candid, openly discussing his crimes and taking full responsibility and demonstrating remorse for the first time. They said that his psychoactive substance abuse is in full remission, and that they conclude that his level of dangerousness is far less than that of the average inmate, and that his progress for positive reentry into society is in a positive direction.
Yeah, she's
still
coming to the trashers already. And
still
denied.
Still fuck off.
Wow.
1995, they find no mental illness. They said that he should be able to hold on to his present gains if he's able to maintain positive relationships with his family members and remain drug-free. But you're going to do it in prison. Is where you're going to do that. Denied. 1997, he's evaluated again here. He still says that Marlene had already hit her mother in the head with the hammer, and that's what he still says. And they say, well, you're going to still stay in prison. Go fuck off, even though he's been productive in a level of programming for many years, they said. 1997, the correctional counselor said, considering the commitment offense, prior minimal arrest record, and excellent prison adjustment, I feel the petitioner would pose a low to unpredictable degree of threat if released at this time. He's done an exceptional job in maintaining a positive attitude while in a structured environment. In the past 19 years, I've supervised him as a correctional officer, program supervisor, and correctional sergeant. I feel, though, as if there was such a thing as a model inmate, he would have to be at the top of the list.
This is our guy.
This is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the guy. Fucking let him out. And they went, not quite.
Not yet.
He's got a rabbi on his side now.
Oh, God.
He's been going and participating in the 12-step program in the Jewish chapel, and the rabbi says, he's the best guy we have.
Great guy.
Great guy. 2002, low to moderate risk, future risk of future violence here.
Okay.
They said, we don't like those odds. You're staying in jail. 2004.
How much of a goy's he got to be?
Oh, my God. They said low risk of future violence if free in the community. Considering the commitment offense, the same thing, basically. The rabbi comes back. They bring in his computer drafting guy, said he's employable in that field. It sounds realistic. He's high levels of education, strong work ethic, good work skills, and support of his family. He should be just fine out there. And they said, that's good. Let's let him percolate on it a few more years.
Son of a bitch.
Fuck off. Back in jail. 2008.
Shot somebody.
That's the thing. Or possibly cave someone's head in with a fucking hammer. He was, again, low risk in 2008. They said that in jail, he was a peacemaker. That would he's able to maintain an even keel, stay focused, avoid jumping to conclusions. And they said that his greatest weakness may be his tendency to, quote, feel too much empathy and have an over sentiment now.
He's too loving.
He's too loving. He might be just too empathetic here.
Yeah.
They very low range compared to anybody else. He's in the way below range for, possible reoffenders. He's doing just fine. The rabbi said he's known him for 10 years. Wow. He's a wonderful man. He just can't wait to circumcise him. Everything's going great. And they say, let's sit on it a little more, fucker. 2010. Finally, they said they asked him to talk about the crime more. It's been 25 years, and he said, quote, it won't make any difference. My memory is tainted. When I think about it, I think of how unnecessary it was. Had I been stronger, had more backbone, the first time her hatred came up, I should have gotten out. I just accept my responsibility for it. The nuances of who did what, I was there. I could have prevented, it doesn't matter, the nuances. Yeah. He said, I could have prevented this months earlier. I didn't because my relationship with my girlfriend was so important to me at the time. I had immersed myself in the marijuana subculture and don't be a snitch. He said that whatever he said would sound like he's trying to blame others and not take responsibility. And he says, I take responsibility. I would do anything if I could undo what I did. And they said, well, tell you what, let's let you go sit in prison for a while longer and you can see if that'll do it.
2010.
Board commissioner said that the killings were execution style, planned, calculated, and carried out. So, fuck you, basically. Yeah. 2011, the rabbi writes a big, long letter for him to the board in support of him. Rabbi Moskowitz is his name. He said, please, let this fucking guy out. Put all of his psych workups. He's so nice. They said that... let's see, alleged sobriety in a controlled amount of time, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but he hasn't. He's been doing great. Normally it's we're leery, but not with this guy. He's perfect. He has some 17 family and personal friends, all emphasizing the maturity and responsibility he's gained over the years and the support he would have from people if granted parole. And they said, I don't think so. It's everything we've asked for, but no, I'm not doing it. Sorry.
Not yet.
Not yet. So he appeals it to court. He actually appeals the no parole, and the verdict
That's cruel
comes
and
in.
unusual punishment.
It was originally the death penalty.
Yeah.
So they said that they found him he had not sufficiently explored and addressed all the reasons for his crime and for his substance abuse at that time. You can kind of go, 1975, that's why. You kidding me? You seen the 70s?
Weed?
Come on, driving around with fog hat playing? What do you want from me?
It's so easy.
He said that they said there's no evidence of substance abuse causing a problem, and they're saying the parole board failed to consider his age at the time of the act here. So the court decides here that Chuck's right. He wins his appeal.
He wins the appeal. But 2 days later, this is amazing. This is in 2015, February 6th,
2015, Governor Jerry Brown reverses the parole board's decision and says, nope, back in the fucking jail with you. Not letting you out. Like what they used to do with all the Manson family all the time. December 3rd, 2015, the California Court of Appeals for the First District vacates the reversal, and 5 days later, Chuck is actually granted parole on December 8th, 2015.
What is
so
that?
he did 30.
40 years? 30 years.
He did a hard 30. Yeah, he
That's
did
not
30.
easy.
No, so that's not bad there. No, shit.
That is
30,
40.
That's 40 years.
That is
30.
40
That's
years.
40
yeah.
fucking years.
Jesus
I'm like, 40
Christ.
seems like too much. He did 40 years.
That man's 60, right?
Yeah, he's 60.
Oh,
I think if you're going to parole anybody, that's the guy, someone who did it when he was a teenager, when he had,
did
fucking,
it for pussy and weed.
Yeah, he had More Than a Feeling playing on the radio. We can't blame him for things that happen when More Than a Feeling is on.
Ooga, ooga.
Yeah. No, I'm talking Boston.
Oh,
More than a feeling.
Isn't that it?
No.
Oh, that one.
That's I Can't Stop This Feeling. That's from the 60s. That's definitely a different song. So anyway, that, everybody, is Terra Linda, California. The barbecue murders.
Did they
Holy
ever?
shit.
Did she went to prison for long? Ever?
She
ever?
kept getting in and out. We don't know what happened to her. I don't know what happened to her because she keeps changing her name and her identity.
Yeah.
She could have moved somewhere else, had a new identity. We don't know what happened. But
she's dead by now, right?
Don't know. Either way, both of them are walking around out there, possibly. Both of these two. I don't want, one of the things should be you two, if you're ever seen in the same place together, we get to shoot both of you in the fucking head. Immediately. No trial. Boom, boom. Good night.
You have to go by your real names for the rest of your lives because we have to be able to keep track of each of you.
Holy shit. So if you like that story, tell the world about it. If you liked any story, get on whatever app you're listening on, Apple Podcasts, Audible, this one, that one, whatever it is, and give us 5 stars. It helps a lot, and it's a really easy and free way to help the show. It takes 30 seconds. Anybody could do that. Say something nice. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Tickets for live shows.
Oh, boy.
August 12th, Chicago, our biggest show ever. We're going to do a special Chicago-only live show.
So close.
Get in there. Get your tickets. We cannot wait. It's going to be huge. And then after that, we have Charlotte, Atlanta, and Dallas have some tickets left. I think there's a couple left in D.C. Everything else is sold out. So get your tickets right now. Or Philly. I'm sorry. DC's already sold out.
Yeah, right.
DC's already sold out. So get your tickets right now. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Social media, we are at Small Town Murder on Instagram and Facebook. You turkeys. And
bunch of turkeys.
You bunch of turkeys. We're there on Instagram and Facebook. And then we're, at Murder Small on Twitter and all that kind of thing. So find us on there. You can find us on there. Patreon.com/Crime in Sports is where you get all your bonus materials. And we got a ton of them. Anybody $5 a month or above, you're going to get the whole back catalog, over 200 episodes to binge on of bonus shit. And then on top of that, new bonus stuff every other week. One Crime and Sports, one Small Town Murder, and you get it all, damn it. This week for Crime and Sports, what you get, we're going to talk about theme park disasters part 2. Getting into modern times, the 80s and on, where a roller coaster could really fling a man 3 counties. That's where we really want to talk about it. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the Stanford prison experiment, which is basically... what does it take to make a person turn into an evil fucking lunatic? Very little. A pair of sunglasses is really all it takes, we find out. It's crazy. So
the trust of a professor.
We will talk about it a lot there. That is patreon.com/Crime and Sports. And also, you're going to get a shout-out. When does that happen? Right goddamn now. Jimmie, hit me with the names of the most wonderful fucking people who would never cave in our foreheads with a hammer.
This week's executive producers are Jordan Bennett, who traveled all the way from fucking Canada to come see us.
Thank you, Jordan. It's so nice to see you.
I think she's seen us like 15 times or something.
It's like 12 at least. It's a dozen.
Ridiculous number.
Damn
and
it,
Kyle
you're the best.
Norwig in the UK. Thank you, Kyle. You're fucking wonderful.
Thank you very
man.
much.
Appreciate person. You're fucking terrific. Thank you. Other producers this week are Arnold Skoland, I think, the turkey leg drunk
Arnold
Polly
Skoland's
gobbled.
Bob Backlund's manager.
Oh, is it? That's evidently the worst manager.
Threw in the towel.
Right.
Yeah. He didn't do shit. He just sat there like a fat bowling ball.
Drunk Polly ate a turkey leg in Rocky, and that is donated by the turkey leg. Peyton Meadows,
nice.
Fester Rat Scramble, Bob in for cock. Oh, Bobbin for cock, James.
Bobbin for cock.
Right.
Very nice.
Janice Hill, Matt Villanueva, Pavilis Basivius, Brandy Huntley, Dusty Frankerbush, Frankenbush. Oh, Jordan Overcast, MP, Tina Schabel, Claire Brown, Krista Brumby, Cody Minich, Monique, I don't know, Tane Sorensen Adams, Brian Beasley, Sydney Jackson, Emily Borgie, I think, Angie Vol maybe, Fabian Ruiz, Reese, Harrison Parker. It's just Blake, Chris Kolomeyer. Kolomeyer? Yeah. And Kristen Kolomeyer donated twice. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's
Sarah,
very nice. Thank you.
Sarah Nicholson, Polly Branham, Nate with no last name. Sarah prefers maybe. It might be prefers.
Prefer? Tell us.
Matt Smith, Drellin Lippin, Draylin Lippin, Lipan maybe. Marianne with no last name. Chili with no last name. Matt Saroff, Anthony Purcell, TJ Schaub, Andy Massey, Sean Charles, Booty Saxton, Morgan with no last name. Catherine Risk, Emily Russell, Stacy Butte, or maybe Butt. It's probably Butte. Brendan Backwitz, Luke Jockers, Addie Lancourt, Hazel Tov, that might be Hazel Tov, Ukima Harris,
Hey. Nice job, Jimmy. Good
Gerald Haggard. I got to talk it out sometimes. Caitlin Hofer, and I still probably get it wrong. Aaron Haddo, Jacob
Names
Towley.
are hard.
They really are. Towley. Because you never fucking know how they pronounce
there's no
this
set
shit.
pronunciation.
No,
if you see a word, we've all agreed on it. Your last name, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Every family can pronounce it differently. We have no idea.
Teresa Nelson Lake, that could be wrong. A2 Brute, that could be wrong. Marsha Mikos, Micus, I don't know. Brandy with no last name.
See
Grant
what happens?
Johnson, Lillian with no last name. Spencer Porter, Amy Doodle, Sean McLean, Kayla Burns, Sia Rising, Rebecca with no last name. Nikki Kiseleff, Kai Selef, Kiseleff. Big Papa, no last name. Jordan Robinson, Noel Williamson, DK Fishin, 24/7. Good for you, DK. Melissa Baldwin, Andrea Hecht, Brenda with no last name. Joshua Jeldon, Mike Wilbur, Joe with no last name. Brian Lewis, Genji Gordon, John Barker, David Mulnio, Yaha G CME. All right, Nathan. Wow. Nate Patron, James Steen, Christopher Snell, Alyssa Gorilla. What? That may be Apple correcting that word.
Maybe.
Whatever your last name is, type it into Apple and see if it says Gorilla. Jay Wesley. Jay Wesley Roberts Jr., Jennifer Mulvihill, Allie Crean. What is it? Mulvihill? There it is.
Yeah.
Jenny Sherman, Danny Hart, Paige Powell, Rowell, Nicholas Forch, Peyton with no last name, Darren Laybolt, Eloise K, Ralph Peer, Mule Hancock, I don't know what that is, Smitty G2430, Amanda Groening, Ryan with no last name, Morgan needs more Minnesota cases, James, Rooney, that's her last name, Living Dead, Fern Barrel, Brittany Gass, Austin Grubb, Marie Lutz, Shannon Jones, Michaela H, Nicole Wetzel, Haley Brummel, Samuel Ritchie, Bailey Bayless, no way, that's pretty rad still. Courtney Nunn, or Noni maybe. Carrie Henry, Crystal with no last name, Julian Lopez, Sarah Watson Ratke, Patreon 180011. That feels like a prison number. Carol Huber, Emily George, Melanie Alvarez, Daniel with no last name, Ben Summers, Josh Fechter, hardly know her. Tiffany Freeze, Amber Haig, Griggy 409, Robin Kennard, Leslie Klepodlo, Austin Hatch, Andrea Loyett, Natalie Mix, Philip Focus,
Philip, you fucking asshole. Focus.
Laura Conley, Clinton Apple, Appel maybe, Tracy Fisher, Noel Tully, Joe Tomasco, Jenny Saucy, Berna Herdanos, Herdasar, Doadartar. It's not a word.
I don't think it is. Yeah.
Kim,
you almost made it once.
QMK Olson, Jamie Lewis, Annalena, Jamie Steve. Oh, boy. Graham Murphy, Desiree Fisher, Adam D., Lisa with no last name, Kimberly Gibson, Carol Carberry, Rachel with no last name, Morgan with no last name, Callie Oxford, Katari Myers, Kateri, Don Kankari, Carly Reeves, Bill Bodley, Bodle, Bo Madden, AJ Mastow, Neff with no last name, Frank Bro, Troy with no last name, Leanne Morgan, Jacob Reddens, Caitlin B, Eric Randall, Emily Sundet. Oh boy. Ryan Tupper, like the wear. Hey, Stacy Brown. I hope you have Tupperware money. Christina with no last name. Oh, Christina Dotson. Connie Kramer, and all of our patrons. You guys are fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. You wonderful, wonderful, glorious bastards. We love all of you, each and every one of you.
True angels. Yeah.
Thanks for what you do for us. If you want to follow us on social media, super easy to do that. Yeah. Just find shutupandgivememurder.com. The whole list of all the links are on there, including us. You can find us. We're not hard to find, goddammit. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, everybody, it has been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country, who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.